But you don't get to tell me what to think and what to do. No, you don't get to tell me what is true. 'Cause you're just liars, cheats and crooks. Change the rules and you burn the books. And so I don't believe a single word you say.
All right, people. I'm trying something new. We're going to see. I'll ask you whether or not you like it, and then I may or may not proceed accordingly. I may be stubborn. I ordinarily don't play the entire songs of anything because I don't want to steal or siphon from the traffic that is well-deserved to the original source. But Brad and I, that is the lead singer from 5 Times August, have come to an arrangement where I have licensed that song now. Or we have contracted. We have done business. And Brad has, for good and valuable consideration, allowed me to start every show with that. So what I think I'm going to do is put that to like a 5-minute timer or a 4-minute and 20-second timer. Was that song 4 minutes and 20 seconds? Ooh, I think Brad's throwing in a little 420 joke there. And start every show with that. And that'll be like the countdown timer before we enter into the show. Because Brad, like many others out there, deserves all the publicity that he can possibly get because his music is a work of art that will define the era through which we lived. Much like I put out a video today shouting out Richard Barris in the hardest possible terms. People who do good work need to be put on blast. And people who do bad work, they also need to be put on blast, but for very, very different reasons. All right, good evening, everybody. It's Sunday. And spoiler, people, Barnes is not able to be here tonight because you all know, look, he's in the hospital. He's been in there for a few days now, and he's getting better, but nobody ever wants to be in a hospital, even a woman giving birth to a baby. We can say that now, right? Only women can give birth to babies. Even a woman giving birth to a baby, in as much as she's in a hospital for a good reason, wants to get the hell out of there. Barnes has he's had some medical issues, and he went to the hospital, getting better, and the hope is that he'll be out tomorrow. So he cannot attend tonight's show. And everybody, I appreciate well, first of all, everybody is extremely concerned, myself included. On the one hand, Barnes is a public figure. We have a Sunday night show, and you can't not say what's going on when it's going on. The flip side is even public figures are entitled to some medical privacy. And I ask my questions. I'm a nosy little hypochondriac, and I ask all my questions. But I disclose what I'm authorized to disclose. And I won't say anything that's not true, period, full stop. We should also respect people's medical privacy. It's not, we are legitimately, sincerely concerned, and yet nonetheless have to respect a certain threshold of medical privacy. Barnes is in the art, doing better. And if he's made some announcements. His sister has made some announcements on in our Viva Barnes Law.locals.com community. And yes, pray. I don't want to make it sound like it's a dire situation. Everybody can literally feel thoughts and prayers. In 5 years from now, I'm going to be religious. I'll throw that out there. But thoughts and prayers, they're not just things that people say. It's an energy, and you can feel it, and people can feel it. And I know Barnes and his family are appreciating them, and very, very sincerely appreciating everybody's well wishes. And get out of the hospital, Barnesy. Get out of the hospital. Well, they'll find out what's going on. Get the hell out of the hospital. Go home, rest. And the biggest thorn, the biggest irritation of this is that Barnes he was sick last week. Whether or not it's connected, we're not sure, and was complaining about back pains, which is what brought him to the ER. But he has not been able to do his victory lap on the outcome of this election. Not whether or not he had a hand to play in the destiny that was this election. If you were following Barnes's advice on sportspicks.locals.com, if you were following this show for the last, what is it now? Going on 5 freaking years, Barnes and I have been doing this, 4 years. You would have A, made money. You would have B, been smarter than everyone else around you. And you would have seen this coming in a way that the melting down idiots out there crying their way to the bathroom as they, I don't know how to finish that one there. So all that to say, tonight we've got Lord Buckley, Mark Groubert, who's actually in the neighborhood. He's up. He came down for Eric Hunley and Mark Groubert had their America's Untold Stories. Well, I guess is it America's Untold Stories? Whatever. They had their live meetup election night stuff. I did a cameo there. And Groubert is going to be our guest because John Bodwin, if you're watching, John Bodwin is a man I've had on a couple times, at least 2 or 3 times, and he's doing great COVID research. John, I'll have you back on. I didn't get back to your message, and I'm sorry, but tonight has to be election talk. We will get back to the COVID stuff, the corruption, and I suspect that's going to be getting to the forefront of a Trump administration. But tonight has to be election. So Groubert and I are going to have a good one. I'll pull up the Bill Maher clip, actually, when Groubert comes in. I want to... oh, and by the way, Groubert, if you're watching, when you come into studio, your camera will be active right away unless you disable it, so be careful. Don't come in on the bathroom, and give me a few minutes because I want to do one standalone segment before you come in. We have entered the realm now where it's gone from the greatest political comeback in the history of the world, not of the 2000s, not of America, of the world. Donald Trump winning, I believe, what is effectively his 3rd win, but his 2nd official win, after they tried to lock him up, strike him from the ballot, demonize him, then kill all of it. Oh, after all of that, he wins, but not only like eking out a victory where we have to go worry, litigate Maricopa County hanging chads. A smashing, in-your-face, suck on it, smashing victory. Suck on it is what it is. Now you have to, all the naysayers, all the Trump haters, all the TDS, all of the governors say, we're going to oppose this government. Suck on it. Because even in California, 40% of your electorate, Gavin Newsom, voted for Trump. It is a landslide. It's a 312 to 226 landslide. I was at 311 to 227 because I forgot about the main vote. Landslide. A popular vote landslide. You all have to shut your mouths and suck on it because the people have spoken. You don't get to say now, I'm opposing Orange Hitler because my people... No, the people have spoken. Now it's gone from having participated in the greatest political comeback in the history of the world to making sure this administration, this upcoming future administration, respects the promises it made in getting elected. And that means no more war whores in the administration, be they man or woman. No Pompeos. We'll talk about this. No Nikki Haley's. We don't want war whores. We want the RFK, Make America Healthy Again, populist coalition revolution. And everyone's coming out with their wish lists. What do we want? Who do we want? And I'm saying this now. I've gone through an evolution, and I can appreciate when I've gone through an evolution. Where in the beginning I said, look, you got to pardon all of the nonviolent January 6ers, which I believed at the time, and I still believe to today. Because who can say in good conscience, you got to pardon violent criminals? And I'll put them in quotes. At the beginning, it was a foregone conclusion. I believe January 6th was a Fedsurrection. I believe it was a made it happen on purpose, not let it happen on purpose, facilitated by federal agents, federal assets in the crowd to foment a mob, to then instigate violence deliberately, and also just to let people in, opening up the doors and waving them in, to allow it to happen, to make it happen, so that it could then be weaponized exactly in the same way that they weaponized it against Donald Trump. Insurrection, exclusion under the 14th Amendment, Section 3, insurrection clause. Insurrection, to depict half of America as frothing at the mouth, raging terrorists, domestic terrorists. Let it happen on purpose so they could try to deplatform Trump, which they did, demonize Trump, which they did, try to impeach Trump again, which they did. So it was definitely a made it happen on purpose Fedsurrection. I'll say it unapologetically. And at the beginning, I said, you got to pardon. It's a no-brainer. All of the nonviolent January 6th offenders, the Adam Johnsons, the Lichtman guys, the grannies who were sitting there praying, they've got to be pardoned. And I have now come around to say that even the violent ones, even those who were convicted of actual violence, need to be pardoned. And the question is why? Someone's going to say, Viva, you're crazy. First of all, you're Canadian state of American politics. We're well too late for that, people. You come here for commentary. If you don't want to hear what I have to say about American politics, living in Florida and paying taxes in America, you're on the wrong channel. Even the violent people who committed bona fide acts of violence did not get anywhere near a fair shake at the judicial system. I don't believe that the charges were fair. I don't believe that the trials were fair. I don't believe that the judges were fair. And so I have now lived through a sequence of events where I can now understand, how did the president pardon members of, I don't know, By way of example, the Weather Underground. I don't have enough information to take a position on that, but I can now, having lived through this, understand how it's at least possible that you had people who might have been bona fide committers of acts of violence who nonetheless got railroaded, who nonetheless got unfairly treated by the system, and who most definitely got punishment that was not commensurate with the crime. If they committed crimes and they had been dealt with properly and they had only gone after the violent Jan 6ers and punished them in accordance with their crime, commensurate with other similarly placed people who had been convicted of those crimes, we wouldn't have an issue. We're not there. And by the way, does anybody, like, let me share the screen. I don't think people realize some of the sentences that some of the violent offenders got for their acts of violence. Listen to this. This is from United States Attorney's Office, District of Columbia. 4 men sentenced for actions during Jan 6 breach. Randolph, listen to this. Listen to this. It's unbelievable. 4 men from Kentucky, North Carolina, Texas, Virginia were sentenced to various terms after they were convicted of multiple felony, yada, yada, related to their conduct. Their actions and the actions of others disrupted a joint session of Congress meant to ascertain the Electoral College for the 2020 vote. Okay, fine. Sentenced by, who was it? District Judge Gia M. Cobb. Listen to their sentences. Randolph was sentenced to 8 years in prison, 36 months supervised release, $2,000 restitution. I care about nothing but the stolen time of life. Grant, 36 months. That's 3 years. Blythe, 30 months. Johnson was sentenced to 5 years of probation. Okay, let's hear. Listen to this. According to the evidence presented at trial, the group participated in the first breach of the Capitol grounds and led an initial attack against the United States Capitol Police. Okay. The attack paved the way for thousands of rioters. Listen to this. The 5 men joined the rioters. Yada, yada, yada. I want to get to that. Listen to this. This is it. This is some of the violent criminals in this. Here, the sidewalk at the edge of the Capitol grounds across the street from the piece was blocked by a linked bike rack barricades. A second set of bike rack barricades with signs that read "Area closed by order of the United States Capitol Police Board" and reinforced with snow fence zip ties barred the way. At 12:50, Samsel approached the first barricade, opened a section, entered the restricted grounds, and approached the Capitol via whatever. Samsel and Grant began to forcibly push and pull on the second barricade while officers held it in place. Samsel stopped pushing long enough to remove his denim jacket, hand it off to someone off camera, and then turn his Make America hat around backward. He handed a megaphone, yada, yada, yada. Randolph began to forcibly push and pull on the fence directly across from the officer. As they drove the metal bike rack barricade at the police line, one officer was struck in the face. The force of the strike threw the officer backward and caused the officer to slam their head twice. First against the middle, then against the stairs. The officer lost consciousness and suffered a concussion. Another officer was driven several feet back with the metal bike rack barricade. Let's appreciate that. And what did those get? Samsel and Grant? 3 years. This is one of the examples of the other classic example who raises a lot of controversy is Jake Lang, who I've had on the channel, and who some people want to dissociate from the other Jan 6ers because Jake admitted to what he did, but said it was in self-defense to a police force that was beating protesters, stomping protesters. They, in fact, allegedly, depending on who you ask, stomped to death Roseanne Boyland, who they then blamed her death on a drug overdose, even though the drugs in her body were related to treating, from what I understand, ADHD and not any sort of methamphetamine as people commonly understood it. And so people don't want Jake Lang being lumped together with the other non-violent Jan 6ers who are now seeking pardons, commutations, whatever. The entire prosecution of everyone involved was weaponized, politicized, and exaggerated from the get-go. And, you got your Molotov cocktail lawyers out of New York getting what? Plea deals. Plea deals that are reduced by prosecutors. And then you get people who pushed a barricade. And yeah, it's not to condone any of it. It's bad. And you faffle, you fuck around, you find out, especially when it involves violence against police officers. 3 years, 8 years, when other people who beat police officers on camera get released the day of and then get sentenced to nothing. So I'm sorry, my position, it should be full pardon for everyone prosecuted by the January 6th committee and whomever. Everyone prosecuted for the events of January 6th should be mass pardoned, period. What are you going to go do? You're going to go parse through? Well, he punched an officer allegedly, and he was sentenced to 16 years. Enrique Tarrio wasn't even there, 20 years. You're not going to go parse through this and redo what they screwed up the first time. Had they done it fair and proper the first time, there'd be nothing to undo right now. It's too complicated to try to undo that. Not blanket pardons, period. That's my position, and I'm sticking to it. All right. Now, before Groubert comes in, Groubert is my nickname, before Groubert comes in, since McConnell is threatening a secret ballot for Senate leader, could Trump, when president, declassify the secret ballot, nullify this coup attempt by the rhinos so they can't hide their vote? Get Will Barnes. I need Barnes to answer that question. Maybe Groubert. I'll save the some of the chats for Groubert. It has a very, very big brain as well when it comes to politics. For those of you who are new to the channel, we're going to end on YouTube sooner than later. Go over to Free Speech Rumble. Vote with our eyeballs, vote with our feet, vote with our dollar. And then we have our locals after party. And, actually, speaking of voting with our eyeballs and voting with our dollar, I almost forgot to thank our sponsor, people. Chuck Norris. You got to go watch the video if you haven't seen it. It's been playing in my backdrop from the beginning. Chuck Norris, people. Can you imagine that we're in a world right now where I've got Chuck Norris as a sponsor. One day I'm going to meet Chuck Norris in person one day. But if you don't know, have you ever wondered what happened to Chuck Norris? I recently saw a video and I was shocked. He's in his 80s, still kicking ass and working out and staying active. What's even more shocking is he's stronger, can work out longer, and has plenty of energy left over for his grandkids. And as you get older, you realize that is the next step of life that you very much look forward to. He did this by making one change. He says he still feels like he's in his 50s. His wife started doing it. She's never felt better. She says she feels 10 years younger and her body looks leaner, and she has energy all day. Chuck made a special video. It's the one you're watching right now. Go watch it with audio. That explains it all. Go to chuckdefense.com/Viva. The link is in the description. Click on the link. Watch it. It'll change the way you think about your health. Once again, it's chuckdefense.com/Viva. Click the link in the description. You won't believe how simple it is. Just a reminder, by the way, he's a whopping 84 years young, and he has more energy than 99% of Americans out there. He discovered he can make a dramatic change to his health by focusing on 3 things that sabotage our body as we age. Watch the method by clicking on the link. Chuck Defense with an S, not a C, because you are Americans, not Canadians.com. Groubert, can you hear me? We'll wait for Groubert. While we wait for Groubert, let me make sure that I've got the super chats on here and Rumble. Susie Wiles, Chief of Staff, thoughts. This is from Glacish. Can I bring it up here? Here we go. I'm picking brains of people who are smarter than me. I know what Robert thinks of Susie. We talked about it on the channel. I have picked the brain of another person, equally smart, equally political savvy, who is not as, I don't know. I would say that Barnes would be doom-pilled on that choice. It's from many people who are more involved in the DC political machine. It's not the best choice, but it's not the worst choice. The chief of staff is basically like, you want a job in the Trump administration, you go through Susie Wiles, is what some might call I don't know if she would be called a neocon. Some words I won't use because I don't want to misuse them. Is she maybe the best who has her ear to the ground in terms of what the world wants from a Trump administration? Who would be the best people to bring on? I don't know. All that I know, by the way, I don't think I had anything to do with it, but at least I get to look smart. They were contemplating, or at least there was words on the street, musing on the streets, that they were going to pick Mike Pompeo for a position. And I was doing some research over the weekend, and I went to listen to a podcast that Mike Pompeo in May. Was it in May? Yeah, where he was. Barnes has a very interesting theory about Mike Pompeo and Nikki Haley, and why Pompeo was talking about potentially being a VP pick, and whether or not some people were wise to certain plans, and whether or not they would have benefited from the July 13 plan had it gone the way the deep state murderous apparatus wanted it to go. My humble opinion. Mike Pompeo might have thought that he would have been the VP when and if Nikki Haley ever became the presidential nominee. Listen to this. It's a little long. We'll play a bit.
So what would President Trump do if he rolls into the White House again? Boots on the ground, perhaps?
Boots on the ground. Not a tough question.
This is the third time you asked the precise same question. Somehow your predicate of your question just misreads the history.
Okay, so
third time answering the question.
Ground, is that possible?
Yes or no?
President Trump is in office again.
Again, you're simply asking the wrong question. The question is, how does Europe reestablish deterrence
You're asking the wrong
against
question,
the
which means I don't want to
aggressiveness
answer.
of Vladimir Putin? And the answer is an administration in the United States and a strong, capable.
Okay, so that's I don't. You asked the same question the third time, and I still haven't answered it. The second is that he eventually. Let me get to. Here we go. Look at this. Would you authorize strikes within
On
Russia?
our watch.
Would exchanging Ukrainian territory for peace, would that be part of that equation, do you think?
President Zelensky has fought hard, and the Ukrainian people have sacrificed enormously.
All of this is academic anyhow, because Trump just announced that. Here, listen to this.
The other thing that I think often gets short shrift here is the economic work that we did. You mentioned in the opening, I'm involved with a company. It's called Viva. That's operating in Ukraine. It's the primary.
That's your third strike, Pompeo. So you wouldn't say that you would not bring American troops boots on the ground. You, in that interview, basically suggested he would have authorized Ukraine to use weapons that would have struck within Russia, i.e. triggering World War III. And he's got financial ties to corrupt Ukrainian, no, I don't know if it's corrupt, but to Ukrainian telecom companies. So that would be 3 strikes for Pompeo, as far as I'm concerned. And Pompeo has officially been announced, as has Nikki Haley, as not being potential selected candidates for the next Trump administration. All right, Mark, if you're listening, come in. You might not be able to recognize the camera because you're using studio, but
it's recognizing the camera. It's just not recognizing the microphone.
Yeah, it's something. It's sometimes it's the.
I blame the Jews, obviously, for this, as you're well aware.
Well, and just like that, everybody, Groubert, you guys know him, the second biggest brain in the political sphere, the biggest brain in the entertainment sphere. And we had a show last Monday where Mark was talking about historically how the rigging of the system works and how they have dead voter rolls and how they keep them, and then they know what they need to beat as the numbers come in. And I think we've seen it play out actually since Tuesday.
Right. Well, even if they don't know the numbers that they need to beat, they have the numbers on hand, David, to beat whatever comes in. The key to the game is for the opposition to be done, and then they can top the opposition. The real key is to extend the voting counting deadline legislatively, which they've done in Democratic strongholds like California and apparently Arizona. That goes 13 days. California, 30 days to count. Which is why those House seats are in jeopardy. And in Arizona, 13 days to count. It was the same thing with the Kari Lake case. That's why her thing is they're going to continue to top her no matter how many votes appear for Kari Lake. They will simply find additional Gallego votes.
You're in California and you're following what's going on there. Like, what is? We have to get through Pennsylvania, but what's at stake in California in terms of House and other seats that people might not be paying attention to?
3 Orange County seats that Republicans went in winning that are now in jeopardy to be flipped in Orange County, which is a conservative stronghold. I'm not sure up to the minute what's going on right now, but they're using the same legal techniques in California to have extended counting days and weeks in California. Actually, it's 3 to 4 weeks of counting. So that can go on. And they're attempting to do the same thing in Pennsylvania. Even though their deadline was Wednesday night at midnight, they're attempting now with Chuck Schumer refusing to allow Senator-elect McCormick, as called by the Associated Press, to attend a senatorial orientation meeting of senator-elects. He's blocking this, Schumer, and I believe that this is just my opinion. I think McCormick should simply show up and force his way into the orientation meeting by physically forcing his way into. I've said this on my channel for a long time. Physically, things have to be done to push these different things to the max. This letter writing by Republicans is so weak, such a weak sauce. People are so tired of it. There's got to be some physics involved here. I'll just add one more. The governor of Massachusetts said that she will physically prevent Trump from deporting illegal aliens. Good. Arrest her for obstruction of justice. But you got to do something. You can't just continue to debate them in the court of public opinion while they're using a different playbook than you're using. There's just a couple of them.
No, but it's actually wild where they say we're gonna defy federal authorities exercising or imposing the law, where you just had the federal authorities basically saying the states can't enforce immigration law. So I mean, you have the reverse precedent to some extent, where they say states can't enforce federal immigration laws. Presumably, they can't defy federal immigration laws. So
these are like crazy drunk teenagers. They'll say the opposite 5 minutes later. The point of the matter is you got to get the job done. You can't have debates with them on CNN, which, by the way, I don't know if this sounds familiar, but guests on CNN are now calling for Kamala Harris to be installed by Joe Biden and having him step down so she could be a ceremonial president for 3 months. Sounds good, Viva?
That sounds fantastic for me. I got 10-1 odds on both of those things. I'm eating it. I've lost my thus far because they seem to have called it for Gallego out of Arizona, and I'm not complaining. It's just a shame that Carrie Lake looks like she's going to get screwed, politically screwed twice now. Let me read. I'm going to read two of these super chats before they disappear over on CommieTube. Keep up the good fight from questionable intent is a $50. Can't bring it up. And Loru says, my siblings and I were peaceful and convicted of January 6th, had to take a plea deal. We weren't even allowed to know our sentence before accepting the deal. Our sentencing hearing was a nightmare inquisition. Absolutely. And
pardon everyone on day one. This getting into the weeds, Viva, and debating about their particular charges is like debating people who went to the ovens during the Holocaust about what their crimes were. It's absurd. None of them should be charged in this protest at the People's House in any way, shape, or form, let alone jailed. They need to put together a class action lawsuit with Jonathan Gross, one of the top attorneys. He's representing a lot of the J6ers. He's been on our show before. Gross is one of a couple of attorneys who has the balls to represent them. They've threatened to destroy everyone's careers who merely represent these J6ers. The tide has got to turn. And they have to go on the offensive.
It is that's the thing, like parsing out who did what, and you punched an officer. I mean, and it's not to minimize it. It's just that the damage is done. First of all, some of them have already served more time. Jake Lang, in particular, in pretrial detention. Some of them have served more time than any other normal lefty, capital D, different perpetrator would have served. Period.
Right.
And you got your January the January insurrection from 2017. Where basically everybody was let off for firebombing, burning limousines, and they went hog to the wall for everything here. So like, I'm not going to parse through who was violent and who wasn't. Unfortunately, they screwed the entire thing up. Hold on now. I was going to bring up something in a second. CNN. Oh, so I did not actually hear who's pressuring Biden to resign and appoint.
CNN and also editorials. This is as I predicted. I didn't predict it would happen, but I predict that this would happen, that they would call for him to step down to allow her to be an honorary president for 3 months. So yes, took a couple of days. Also, massive protests now being formed for the inauguration. They're organizing across the country for a massive physical demonstration on January 20th in DC, as I figured would happen. There were already demonstrations in New York of illegal aliens being shepherded around by NGOs in a physical protest in the streets of New York, claiming that they have every right to be here and to live off of your money.
I'm going to make a prediction. I don't think there's going to be as much violence, or at least that the mobs are going to be as big as people are fearing. I think people are kind of done, and you got a very vocal minority that's threatening it, but they're going to show up and nobody's going to be there. But hold on, let me bring this up, Mark. I didn't realize you sent this to me via DM. Yeah. Let's check this out. Okay. Oh, I'm not sharing the screen. Hold on. Here.
Figure. He could resign the presidency in the next 30 days, make Kamala Harris the president of the United States.
Whoa.
It would absolve
Do it. Do it.
From being able from having to oversee the January 6th transition, right, of her own defeat. And it would make sure that it would dominate the news at a point where Democrats have to learn drama and transparency and doing things that the public want to see is the time. This is the moment.
What
to
an idiot.
change the entire perspective of how Democrats.
Okay, this is
Well, he just said like 3 things that are mutually incompatible. They need drama and transparency. First of all, the Dems don't need to learn drama. They're the drama
No,
queens.
they're drama queens. That's for sure.
And transparency. First of all, do it. Do it. And oh my gosh, I will be laughing.
I had predicted that Biden would step down, but I wrongly predicted that he would pick the governor of California, whom he had stated publicly was his heir apparent. He had gone to California on numerous trips, raised the hand of the governor of California and said, "This is my successor." Apparently, the demand for Kamala Harris, there's different takes on it, because Paul Manafort suggested on the interview with Tucker, which I highly recommend, that Joe Biden stabbed them in the back, them being the Clintons and Obamas, by endorsing her within 48 hours, thereby cementing her candidacy and screwing over a phony, quote unquote, open primary for the Democrats that would have allowed Obama and the Clintons to be kingmakers. He made her a queen, but the original choice, I believe, was the governor of California, who is already now running because he's termed out. I predicted to you the other day that she will run for the governor of California, just like Richard Nixon did in 1962 after losing the presidency in 1960 to JFK. She's been the senator of California. She's been the attorney general. She has nowhere to go politically except back to her home state. She could walk in and take the crown if she wants, and I think she will.
That's interesting. Hold on. Kamala Harris would go back and run for governor. Gavin Newsom, it looks like he's running for 2028.
Yeah, he's turned out. There's no real major figures. I had originally urged RFK Jr. to throw his hat into the ring and use California as a testing ground for all of his various policies. 40 million people could then be used as guinea pigs, good or bad guinea pigs, for RFK's policies. I don't know what position RFK is going to take, a cabinet position. I don't really know. I don't think he wants to come to D.C. and leave his house in Malibu. I originally thought and urged him to, and I talked to Dr. Drew about this, who spoke to him, according to Dr. Drew. Then Nicole Shanahan picked up the mantle from him and said she was going to run. But I think it's Kamala Harris's race to lose in California, and she could stay politically active.
The only thing I disagree with your theory is that Biden was trying to do anything to benefit Kamala by endorsing her. I think, from what I understand, they hate each other.
No. I'm not saying that either. In fact, Manafort was saying it was knowing that she was going to lose and to screw over the people that stabbed him in the back. Oh, no. Manafort said the same thing. This was designed to cement her as the weakest candidate that any of them, which is why he picked her as VP. You always want like a weak, dunce candidate to be your VP. Look at Joe Biden. I mean, he was an idiot selected Barack Obama.
Yeah, and the graph is hilarious. There was a meme where it says Obama's thinking, I need a dumber VP than me. And then you got Biden. Then Biden says, I need a dumber VP than me. And then you got Kamala. And Kamala says, I need a dumber VP than me. And then you got, what's his face? Tim Walz, who we haven't heard. Oh, he gave a speech, actually. By the way, Mark, you'll like this. Mark is an American hero. AG Man 5082. Thank you. So that's interesting.
The meetup the other night, it was fantastic here in Boca. Everybody had a great time. You were great. The crowd was great. The technology needs to be worked on. But yeah, for the most part, it was a great night. Election night, I'm talking about. We stayed there till like 3:00 in the morning.
I'm going to bring this up because I don't know if this is a Trump did pick a weak VP. I hope you mean in 2016.
Yeah, no, 2016. The traditional pick was to pick a Mike Pence. He's changing the narrative.
Yeah, I hope because
now keep in mind there was a guy named George W. Bush who sent out a guy to find a VP, pick and vet him, and he vetted himself and says, "I'm your new VP," and that's Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney's father, who's still armed to the teeth with a shotgun and drinking wildly somewhere in Wyoming with his daughter. So That's another narrative that was flipped in that traditional department of picking a weaker. It's kind of like a comedian. Like I said the other day, if you're a comic, you don't pick somebody to open for you who's funny because you want to come out and kill. So you pick, a really shitty working kind of comic who acts and looks like a comic, like this guy Killer Joe or whatever his name is, who was at Madison Square Garden. But look at Bill Maher. I mean, Bill Maher, like you said last night, doesn't take blame for anything. This guy, I mean, just nonstop.
And just so everybody knows, Mark and I had dinner last night. Mark came to my daughter's play. I saw my daughter's play twice in the weekend. My daughter was what's it called when someone is the backup if someone drops out? Swing?
The understudy.
The understudy. My daughter was the understudy, and the lead had to drop out 2 weeks, or it was a week before the showtime. And my daughter, who had been one good understudy, took the lead role and killed it, if I do say so myself. But speaking of Bill Maher, the scum. I'll play it. You got to listen to this guy. Look at his face. His entire demeanor reeks of arrogant pomposity.
Am I going to worry about it? First of all, I'm not going to worry about it, Phil, because he's not going to win.
This is Trump winning.
So you think he's just worn it out? You think people are just going to get
enough? I feel
category fatigue.
I mean, it's just going to be. We're talking about a few 100,000 people, perhaps, but I think it's going to be a little closer than that. First of all, she's definitely going to win the popular vote, as Democrats almost always do now. Mm-hmm. But I think she will win. I think he will, of course, go batshit insane as he always does. He won't accept it. His followers, I think, will. I don't think their heart will really be in it as it was in 2020. Some of them, there's lots of people who will always be in the bunker with Mrs. Goebbels, taking the poison and giving the poison to the children.
Great analogy,
because it's better than living in a world without National Socialism. I make an analogy, but I don't say he's.
Look at that face.
But I think for most people, it's just fatigue. Yes, I think it's time.
For you, fatigue. I mean, could you cram in any more mistakes in one political rant than he just crammed into that political statement?
But you like I always feel bad for people who don't deserve it and people who don't even feel bad for themselves. This guy's saying like, oh yeah, just a few 100,000 Trump supporters are going to be pissed because he's living in a freaking economic silo bubble, an ideological silo bubble, a political silo bubble. Everything about his life is a silo bubble. He has no idea what's going on in the world among the people, like everyday people, and he sits there smoking his weed, drinking his whatever with his stupid new setup, like an arrogant, detached prick who then has no idea, makes wildly bad predictions. And he came out yesterday, Mark, and his explanation was the losers need to look in the mirror. They need to understand what they did wrong.
Right, the losers do, and they are supporters of National Socialism, and they are fascists, and he's really nailing every single thing about his own people. It really is astonishing how accurate he is in an attempt to be inaccurate here.
Have you met Bill Maher in real life?
Oh yeah, of course.
Is he as he appears to be on camera?
Oh, it's a lot worse. That's about as nice as you're going to see him. And off camera, it's 10 times worse.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay.
Well, it's kind of interesting. I just wanted to say about how she spent all her money. Or the other people's money. It wasn't her money. She's now $24 million in debt, Harris. And there's different ways to skin that cat, but she's legally liable for the $24 million. I mean, they could have a fundraiser and knock that out. But try to imagine this for your audience. Trump went on to talk with Joe Rogan. And instead of going to Austin, Texas to be in Joe Rogan's set, he had the entire set rebuilt inside of Mar-a-Lago. Just think of what I just said. Joe Rogan's set is rebuilt inside of Mar-a-Lago for like $500,000, and Trump goes on to Joe Rogan's set, does the interview with Joe Rogan, and we never know that it's really a rebuilt set, and Trump was just too busy to go to Austin, Texas to be on Joe Rogan. Imagine what I just said. I'm saying it is because Call Her Daddy, the podcast right here, spending 6 figures to Call Her Daddy to rebuild the entire set of a podcast inside of a hotel room that was controlled by the Harris campaign, so she wouldn't have to go to the call her daddy base of operations. One of the craziest things of her entire campaign is this little factoid. I think she dropped about $400,000 or $350,000 to rebuild the set with Hollywood set designers, so she wouldn't have to go to wherever the hell the place is.
That is so flipping wild. I heard that at the time. Oh, say that again.
I'm saying, how out of touch is that event that you're going to rebuild a set of someone who's got a podcast to make it look like you're at their place?
Well,
the entire campaign was deception, is what I'm trying to say.
That's what I was.
Of the campaign was deceptive.
That's amazing, because I watched the episode. First of all, the episode was 40 minutes long.
Yeah.
It was not anything of a meaningful marathon. It was the most superficial, contrived, scripted a podcast ever. A bunch of whatever. I won't get into that. But they didn't mention that they were not on the actual site. I mean, that is.
Why would they mention it?
To be honest, to be at least when they insisted that Joe Rogan come to them, now it makes sense. The last time they did come to them and they blew. Wow. Okay.
Now your friend Alan Lichtman, I think you call him.
Oh, I call him Alan Lichtman.
What's his name? Alan Lichtman, the Nostradamus of polling. He's now blaming Elon Musk for his erroneous election call, and I thought that would be like the New York Yankees losing to the Dodgers and blaming the fact that the Dodgers had Freddie Freeman on their team.
Look, I put out my vlog this afternoon and it's performing relatively well. So maybe everybody's seen this, but it's well worth it if you haven't seen today's vlog. Go watch today's vlog. I call him Alan Derelichtman, so I could use the Zoolander I can derelict my own balls meme. But look at this. First of all, this is the face of panic right here on the right. Listen to what he says. It's never their fault. This is narcissism. Darvo, deny, attack, reverse, victim, and offender. Listen.
And the keys, because the keys depend upon a rational, pragmatic electorate deciding based on governance whether the incumbent party should get 4 more years. And we've seen the explosion of some trends that have existed before, but not to this extent. Disinformation. You know, Elon Musk is, I don't know how many hundreds of billions he has. He has been the director of misinformation. 2 billion views of his spreading of disinformation. Oh. Not just about the economy, but about immigrants, about minorities. We've never seen disinformation at this scale. Next, we have never seen to this scale the agitation of 3 trends that have been very deeply embedded in American history. Misogyny, racism, and xenophobia. You know, the first anti-immigrant law was 1798.
I'm going to pause it there. First of all,
this is just jibber jabber, bro. They can't accept defeat. These are people who've never been. It's the hat trick. I call all 3 of it. If you haven't been in the military, the church, or organized sports, you're a leftist woke Democrat.
I want to
3 areas of society that none of them have ever been involved in.
But there's two observations. First of all, look at the journalist pretending to listen to this guy as though he's saying anything meaningful. It's actually the first part that I find the most offensive.
And the keys, because the keys
13 keys
depend upon a rational, pragmatic electorate.
Pause. What he's basically saying is you're a bunch of irrational, racist nincompoops of an electorate. My keys work. You just didn't understand them properly. To which I said, as I said in my vlog, his 13 keys. The irony is, if he were able to objectively assess his own 13 keys, he would have been right. His 13 keys include
a weatherman predicting a sunny day and it rains, and he blames the people for coming outside with umbrellas. I mean, you're predicting something. You didn't say it's based on the rationale of one side or the other. You predicted X, it turned out to be Y, and now you're blaming one side or the other for
That was one of my other observations, is if your predictive model doesn't factor in human irrationality, it's not a predictive model, but it's worse than that. It's that his own model probably would have worked if he had assessed it accurately, where you go to key 5, strong short-term economy. And he gave it to Kamala. Key 6, a strong long-term equality. They gave it to Kamala.
Yeah.
Key 7, made a policy change, no social unrest and no scandal. Those 4, if he didn't have a rotten brain, he would have given to Trump, and he would have predicted the right
The model's not broken. It's just choices within the model of his own model. Now, that being said, the only guy you could actually listen to, this industry is about to go under like the bond industry, bonding of different in 2008. This industry is about to go away because this is a pay-for-play industry.
Yep.
If you want to find accurate polling, you go to Rich Barris, the People's Pundit, who has called these things correct with Barnes on Inside the Numbers. I don't want to give a shout out to Barnes in Vegas. I am not Barnes. No one is. I'll tell you, 1965, a lot of kids, Viva, who were in America, were putting on Superman costumes and jumping out the window thinking they could fly. The following year, the Superman came out with the same Superman costume, and on the plastic bag, it said on the outside, remember, kids, only Superman could fly. And I say that as a tribute to Robert Barnes, who's not here tonight.
I'm showing Richard Barris's Twitter feed. I gave everybody the link. Go follow him because he was right to the number 312 to 226.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is this is a private thing that he's not working for NBC. He's not working for the Wall Street Journal. He doesn't have a dog in the financial hunt. That model is gone. Everyone that they hire is under pressure to deliver numbers by the people who are hiring them. Unfortunately, this industry is done. It's done. Lichtman is barking at the moon as the last cat doing this. Zogby made all kinds of other crazy predictions. I mean, the only guy who doesn't have a dog in the hunt, there was a couple of them. I mean, Trafalgar was fairly accurate. Atlas.
Rasmussen was closer, but
close. But the reality of it is this industry is finished because it's a pay to play industry.
I mean, anybody with
that's the way it is. You could look at it every 4 years or every 2 years, think it's different, but it's not.
Cheryl Gage over on Rumble said, Viva for ambassador to Canada. You know, I was going to make that joke, but I didn't want to look like I'm trying to make myself more. Everybody's making a joke like Alex Jones says, okay, I'll be the press secretary.
You know, the twitching lady up in Canada yesterday. You're
Krista Freeland. I hate her.
What did she have? What do you think it is? We talked about it last night. I think
she's crazy. No, she might be. It might be Tourette's. It might be medical. So I don't want to make fun of her for it. But I'll make fun of her for being Satan incarnate. But no, the joke is, I was going to make the joke. Yeah, okay, guys, I'll accept ambassador to Canada. I may or may not have told Justin Trudeau to go fuck himself one time too many to be ambassador. Mark, hold on a second. Dog needs
to be royal style. Okay, now that Viva's gone, let's talk about what's going on at that house. I got to tell you something. He's back. Hold on. It's a madhouse. Okay, sorry. Anyway, so Viva's one of the great hosts of all time, and he's back now. So let's discuss this.
Hold on a second. Actually, what we're going to do right now is take the party on over to Rumble and Locals. If you're still on
YouTube now.
Yeah, we're gonna cut the feed on YouTube. Here's Locals, and just for the YouTube overlords, this is not to do anything that we couldn't do on YouTube. This is because it's time for the parallel economy. It's time to vote with our feet and our dollars. And Rumble, Chris Pavlovsky, who is the unsung hero on this, you know, Elon gets a lot of the praise, and he deserves it. X is a massive platform that I think, you know, really did have a pivotal role in this election in that it reaches 108 million Americans who would have otherwise been reliant on CNN. Rumble, Dan Bongino, pivotal. And so Chris Pavlovsky, the CEO, doesn't get the credit that he does deserve. So we're going to go and give that to him now by 6,000 people on YouTube. Come over to Rumble. Let me just give everybody the link. Come to Locals or Rumble. And I'm a neurotic hypochondriac.
It's done electronically. I don't have to go anywhere.
You might have to drive digitally.
Go to your house now. Is that what the game is again? By the way, your daughter's unbelievable last night. I'm still all the way home. That's all we were talking about. You must be kvelling, and I mean kvelling from the old school, from Eastern Europe kvelling, because she was wonderful last night.
She was amazing, and the dinner was delicious. My wife also had a wonderful chicken dinner. Hold on. Okay, 5,600. Good. Come on over. But before we go over one last one, because I want everybody to see this. Speaking of quality needing to see the light of day, Biltong. Well, Axel Jones says if Kamala packs SCOTUS, Trump pack it more by appointing more forcibly installed. Then pack it more by forcibly install every Jan 6 political prisoner for more SCOTUS seats all at once. It would melt their faces. hopefully teach him. And King of Biltong, thank you for being here. Biltong is one of the most protein-dense foods in the world, packed with B12, zinc, iron, creatine, and more. Need a healthy snack? Get yours at biltongusa.com, Viva 10 for 10% off. And now we are migrating, people. If you're watching this on YouTube, Rumble. And that is it.
By the way, there's a line at the Mexican border right now, all the way down to the Cape tip of South America, trying to get in because they're trying to get in before Trump comes into power. The line goes all the way down to the tip of South America. And if you get out of line, you can't get back in. So if you go to the bathroom, you got to start at the bottom of South America and get back on the end of the line, from what I'm hearing.
I'm updating the stream before I find out if the second part of that was a joke. Now,
but they're massing at there are caravans massing to get in. And
oh gosh, I just hit the wrong button. How do I undo it?
I don't know. Where are we?
I've screwed everything up. It's going to. Let me see if there's a way to undo this. I hit the wrong button and it's going to local supporters only in 13 seconds. Undo.
Alert.
I might have to start this back up on Rumble. Let me see if there's a way to.
I'm just passing through. I'm in your backyard, having my own stream here.
I am such a flipping idiot. It's beyond words, people. Hold on.
You got a lot on your plate. You're a Canadian living in a regime now, trying to make the best of a situation.
I am such a dumb ass. Edit. Hold on. Is there any way to revive this public? Gosh darn it.
You want to start on Rumble?
Hold on.
Just go to Rumble and go there.
No, I'm gonna have to start it again. Might have to restart because I'm an idiot. Oh, there's no way of undoing this. This is great. And there's no way to kill it as it happens.
You were saying about Pavlovsky, what a mad genius he was for creating this platform.
Is there any way of undoing this? Does anybody know if there's any way to undo this? Let me just see before I... Yeah, you killed Rumble, says Eric. I think I made that. Before I just kill this and start it all over again, because I'm the biggest jackass on earth.
No, don't say that. That's ridiculous. There's no point, so...
No, I'm gonna... There's I don't know that there's a way to undo this in studio. Let me see here.
We're still on the air. I don't know. Maybe we should just
add new theme. No, let me just see if I can't. Campaigns. No, live chat here. There is. Hold on. Maybe. Hold on. No, there's no way to add it back. Oh gosh, darn it! All right, I'm going to end the stream and I'm going to start this all over again. I'm sorry, guys. Give me 5 minutes.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, Mark, I'll send it to you in a second.
Okay, what are you going to send me? Another link or something, or?
Well, let me see if I can just do it like this. Just start up.
We're on something here. People watching.
Yeah, I know. I'm just. Oh God!
Why don't we keep going?
No, because it's only on locals. We got, and it's like we're going to do the locals party afterwards. But I'm just going to set this up here. New stream. I'm not going to panic, but what I'm going to do is this. Okay, and just go like this. News. And I'll send the link out into the main chat when we go later time right now. Let's see if we can do this. Sorry, peeps. Oh, gosh. Right now, why will it not let me? Okay, so okay. So I'm going to blame the dog.
Which one? If you put the two of them together, you only have one dog.
Right now, next. Okay, live. Let's see if this is going to work, and then I'll have to. Mark, I'm going to have to send you this. Let me. Oh my goodness, this is annoying.
Okay. What do you want me to do?
Viva, read the Rumble chat. Guys, everybody I know, I turned off the Rumble chat. Okay, now, so this is internal. Stop panicking because it's not going to do anything good. How do I've started a new live stream here.
It only says you may have to use StreamYard.
My content, new stream. I am going to have to use StreamYard. I have to kill the whole stream. Let me give the link out. This is going to be the new stream in a second here. Link to new stream. Sorry, that's the link to the new stream. Give me 2 minutes to set it up. Locals. It's going to take a few seconds to set it up. Gosh darn it. Link to new stream. All right, I'm going to end all of this here, people. Neurodivergent, if you can help me with this. All right, I'm going to end this, and then I'm going to start it back up, and it's going to be on StreamYard. I'll see you in 5 minutes, people. Sorry about this. Well, we've discovered a new feature that we need to add to Rumble Studio. Let me see if I see my face. Refresh. Do I see my face? Yeah, let me keep going here and see if it's coming up. Oh, hold on. Not yet. Okay, so it says that I'm live now. Do I see myself over in Viva Barnes Law? I do. Okay, there we go. At least that's one. I am. I blame the dog. I blame the kids. There we go. I see me here. All right. I'm joking, by the way. I blame myself because when you end the stream in studio, there's a button that says Rumble and Locals or Locals Only. And the Locals Only button on Rumble is for supporters only. So on any other day, it wouldn't have been the end of the world. It would have been for everybody, members and supporters. That would be people who are not paying supporters on Locals and paying supporters. But that's not fair for a Sunday show until we get to the after party for the whole show. So now I've sent Groubert the link. I'm going to go over here. We're live here. Hi there, Viva, says everyone. We got King of Biltong says, awesome. Tag the post where I can put it out. Oh, yeah, let me send out the new link to everybody. And I see there's 3 thumbs down because Viva's an idiot. And I've inconvenienced everybody tonight. Okay, I'll share the link out here. New link is up. Sorry, peeps. All right. Is that the link? That is it. Okay, boom. Shakalaka. I'm live in Rumble and Local, says one of my helpers on the interwebs. Thank you very much, Francis. Okay, good. And then we'll see when Groubert gets in here. So people will trickle back in. Okay, where were we before Viva pulled the plug like a jackass? Stop chatting. Let Viva type messages out to the audience to get them to sign back onto Rumble. Don't worry, we got there. We lost you when you were fact-checking the migrants coming up from South America. Thank you, says Two Dogs Mike. While Groubert gets back into the house. Hold on. There he is, back in the house. Mark, I'm bringing you in.
Okay.
Now plug in your mic and plug in your...
I did already. I'm way ahead of you, schmuck face. I don't know what kind of an operation you're running over. I'm a Luddite. I'm a complete idiot. You're below me, apparently.
No, so this is definitely the next improvement. I don't know if it's designed for idiots, but it should be idiot-proof. So
yeah,
Rumble, it gives you the 30-second countdown. There needs to be an undo button on that. What was it called in not in Star Wars, in Spaceballs? When the detonate thing, what they push at the end. What's it called when you pushed the button to
self-mutilate?
Self-destruct. No, self-destruct. It's like self-destruction averted. There needs to be a self-destruction averted.
There has to be self-destruction aversions all through your house because there's all kinds of landmines in that place.
It's you didn't step in poop, but
no. I avoided that landmine. There's broken glass. There's poop. There's turtles that are running around. There's dogs with no legs. There's the blind dog. There's the blind sheik who comes in every once in a while.
It's a flipping zoo. I could not have a studio in my home even if I wanted one because people come in like, should I take my shoes off? I was like, no. You want to put your shoes on.
You have the shoes on, yeah. I had shoes on. I had the beekeeper headgear, to keep those things off of me. I mean,
oh my goodness. Now I think I'm going to have lost all of the tip. I'll see if I can find the tip questions from the last. Oh, okay. I still have it up. Okay, so
that was close.
Yeah, I'm going to leave that stream open so I can get all of these. All right, so I was fact checking your migrants at the border. There is an increased buildup. The leaving the line was the joke, but there's people now flooding the border.
I was just joking about it, but it's a true story.
It's amazing. Like they see it and everybody's known it. It's an amazing thing where I was going to partake. There was contemplating of a debate discussion type thing. Our locals community knows it. The debate is off actually, and not because anyone chickened out of the debate. I think everybody wholeheartedly agrees that Trump is going to be better for world peace in the Middle East than anybody. The question was going to be, do you anticipate the Trump campaign, the Trump second term being stabilizing for international relations, and why? And that's why I started looking at Mike Pompeo, all this other stuff. I think everybody agrees, and we're seeing it in real time as it is. I think on the Unusual Suspects on Friday, Connor, one of the panel members, he's like, we've been in a world right now where the dad has not been home, and like the mom's trying to keep the kids from going crazy, and like the dad's coming home, daddy's home, he said, and it's time now for sanity to prevail.
Well, not only that, the world is cleaning up their bedroom because daddy's coming home, politically cleaning stuff up.
What did you think? I mean, what did you think of Pompeo? You think also not a good choice overall?
No, Pompeo is, as I said to you the other day, he's the Joe Bolton of the Trump administration. He can't be allowed anywhere near the levers of power. Neither can Mike Rogers. Neither can this Bolton. John Bolton, not Joe Bolton. Yeah. Officer Joe Bolton was a cop, a phony cop who introduced the Three Stooges on TV when we were kids in New York growing up. That was Officer Joe Bolton. John Bolton is the maniac with the glasses and white beard who is a neocon psychopath. Pompeo, for reasons, I think each one of these people are like separate deep state corporations. In other words, Mike Pompeo represents a group. It's not just, you're not hiring the individual. You're hiring a segment of the neocon community when you bring any of these people in. That includes Bolton or any one of these maniacs that Trump continues to go to the same pool to pick out of. What I think Trump needs is a human resources head who hires people and vets people, because he is not good at human resources. He should not be allowed to hire employees. Get someone to do that.
So the question is going to be, so it's going to be Trump who picks all of the cabinet members, like Susie Wiles, in as much as some people don't like her, she's going to be chief of staff. Okay, first of all, what do you think of Susie Wiles? Chief of staff does what exactly? Like, my understanding is
chief of staff is the gatekeeper to the Oval Office and an immense amount of power. Now, Susie Wiles is coming out of, I said big pharma, and it turns out it's big tobacco. So I look at tobacco as a drug, so I don't really delineate between big pharma and big tobacco. She's coming out of big cereal, big tobacco, and she's got baggage, bro. She's got baggage. Despite what people say, she's also very old. She's also a grandmother. This is a job for a younger person with a ton of energy. I believe that she'll be replaced by the time he swears, when he gets into office. I think she'll be a short-term chief of staff.
Okay. Hold on. I want to make sure that we are, in fact, I don't want to kill any one of these pages here.
Stop touching the buttons. That would be
Viva
a start.
Barnes. We are currently live. Where is here? Okay, good. Take two. No, because I saw that we were. I just didn't have the right one up. Okay, good. No.
I have no personal animosity towards the woman, but if you're bringing in a corporate lobbyist from big tobacco to be a chief of staff, and you're also talking about limiting lobbyists, you may have a problem. And also her age is a problem, and I believe a lot of parts of her are a problem.
So the argument is, and I'm trying to I admit I'm going to have the propensity to want to pardon or interpret in a good light what I might otherwise think is an objective mistake from Trump. You say like Susie Wiles, some people are going to say, yeah, like you're saying, this is what you need less of, not more of.
Yeah,
other people are going to say, but it's politics. You got to make all of these various factions.
If you have to, not out of the gate, picking this person on day one. We've just been through this with this administration a couple of years back. I mean, RFK came out and said, yeah, she's okay for me. Really? You want a woman from big tobacco is okay for you and big cereal? I just find it a little bizarre.
Okay, and then the only question is whether or not she's changed, whether or not she's going to abide by these.
Why do you need this broad? I don't get it. Why is she so important that you have to take a 69-year-old grandmother who's a lobbyist? I mean, is there no one else on the planet Earth?
I think there would have been a number of other people who would have been better. I mean,
right. Okay. That's just I have no beef against her, but I mean, come on. There's a lot of symbolism also involved with these picks. She may be totally qualified, but there's symbolism too, and there's visibility issues.
It is a good point about reconciling the tobacco lobby or tobacco history with the Make America Healthy Again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Big Pharma, I originally said she came from Big Pharma, and she does have connections to Big Pharma. Tobacco is just as bad as Big Pharma, so it doesn't really matter to me personally. And to Bobby Kennedy, who apparently said that this is okay, she's coming out of big sugar-coated cereal lobby world.
Mark, let me read the tips before I actually potentially lose the other ones here. This was the old window. Viva, get a producer, says, okay, Buffalo Betsy, Viva, don't be so hard on yourself, friend. It's tough to hear you insult yourself. We love you. This might be the new stream. Let me go to the old one and just make sure that I get all of these. Buffalo Betsy says, no, that's this. Maybe these are okay. But Buffalo Betsy says, Viva, don't be so hard on yourself. NetJess says, Viva, get a producer. Producers don't, eliminate all problems. They just give you someone to blame when they happen. Don't sweat it, Viva. You might be reaching the time to get some assistance. Susie C says, Viva, we love you no matter what. Don't worry, Viva, says Suera. And then Buffalo Betsy, Groubert has exceptionally nice teeth. Groubert, Hollywood melting down. I have a clip for, they're blaming everybody, but what do you, I mean, you have the inside scoop. Well,
first of all, these people never leave. They say they're going to leave. Bette Midler said she was going to drink Drano. She didn't drink the Drano. Cher is now, Cher's got the best explanation of all. When she said she was going to leave, she was at the beginning of a relationship with a new guy. And now she can't leave because that new guy, the relationship has blossomed from 4 years ago, and he has a young son. So it would be really selfish of her to force him to leave the United States to go to another country with her. That's her story.
All right. Well, I want to, know a little bit about the Tom Hanks story, or do you not know enough about Tom Hanks?
I know that he's a deep state operative. I know that he sold war bonds back in the day. I know that he made a pact with the devil for his career. And this was according to Oliver Stone, who told me this. So I'll take his word on Tom Hanks.
And because people are thinking like celebrities always say they're going to leave, and none of them ever do. Yet Tom Hanks did in fact leave and go to Greece.
All right, let me just drive a stake into this thing. First of all, leaving to these celebrities is going to their second home. His wife is Greek. They've had a home in Greece for 39 years. They're going to go there, wait till the dust settles, sneak back into LAX in their private jet about a year and a half from now, as if nothing happened, and forget the thing ever went south. These are people just going to their second homes out of symbolism, Viva. These are not world-class problems that normal people have. These are problems of the wealthy and the elites.
Yeah, and who was it? Michael Cohen quickly retracted his threat to leave as well, and said, "No, I'm not leaving. You leave," as if that's the way it's going to go.
Right. Well, to quote Chaz Palminteri, now you can't leave. That's
the best scene from
now you can't leave.
A Bronx Tale.
Bronx Tale. Yeah. How about this guy?
Well, I'm not going to play the whole thing, but let's just play it 30 seconds and let's see what Crappy McCrapstein Scaramucci has
coarseness to some of the rhetoric. There was some threatening suggestions to people related to being political adversaries and so on and so forth. And I hope we can put that rhetoric aside and we can move forward and think about what we're going to do as a country to unify the country and make the people in the country, particularly the lower and middle income people in the country, more prosperous.
The rhetoric got heated everywhere. You got pretty heated, Anthony. At times.
Because Joe, how did I get heated? What did I say, Joe?
What did I say? Trump?
Yeah, what did I say? I said I repeated what he was saying. I said this is wrong.
Anthony,
come on, Joe.
You have
Come on, Joe.
Have had an utter disdain for Trump. You'll always be welcome at the table of legacy media.
What did he say? This is why they play on people either not being prepared or being idiots. Scaramucci said Trump is an un-American sore loser. Vote Harris, or read what Geraldo wrote. He said, there is a group of people in our country that are supposed patriots and love and appreciate the American military, yet they love a con man more. The atrocious statements made by Trump today about Governor Haley's husband, who would have been met with a clear rejection at the ballot box by patriots. Something to think about, how far we have moved away from the greatest nation, where people are now voting for someone who calls their veterans suckers and losers. Trump is a dope, a useful idiot for Vladimir Putin, Scaramucci, and another one, just a couple of great ones here. Trump will never, ever be president again. Never, ever. And then Trump is a traitor. And we all say, like, what's the penalty for being a traitor, even according to these jackasses? I didn't follow Scaramucci enough the first time around. what the hell happened?
Oh, he was unending, Scaramucci. I mean, just he became he was the Adam Kinzinger of Wall Street in terms of criticizing Trump from down on the street, and that's why he's on one of those money shows there. Vivek was just sitting there smiling like the cat who ate the mouse. But that no, Scaramucci was unending in his vitriol towards Trump. I mean, they tried to gaslight all the way into the ovens. It's just astounding how far they'll go with gaslighting. You know, and they talk about fact checkers. I mean, this guy, if he had a real producer, could simply pull up the quotes that you pulled up in midstream in the middle of the show and say, look, this is what you said here, 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 and here. But they never do that.
They want to unify when they lose to the person that they would have crucified had they won. I mean, that's actually has a good ring to it. I mean, that's exactly what they. What else, Mark? I got some other stuff in the backdrop here.
Go ahead.
Well, we got the Lichtman.
You did the Lichtman. You got that.
Oh, have you seen? Well, okay. This is. We've seen these remixes. Have you seen these things?
I've seen. No, I
watch
have
this.
No! Why?
It's the talent is truly amazing. Okay, forget that. The remixes are. Oh no, the great. There was another great one also where I forget who the guy was. I'll see if I can pull it up. Who do you want to see in a Trump administration, and who do you absolutely?
Well, I'd like to see Paxton as AG. Bring this guy out of Texas. Let him go to work. You know, take that guy and build from there. I mean, you have to you know, pick your spots and not repeat the mistakes that he made in the past. Maybe Susie Wiles is good for picking talent. Maybe that's her superpower. I don't know. You got to have someone like Flynn be in charge of that Pentagon. You got to get rid of that black guy from the Air Force, that maniac. You got to put Mark Milley on trial for treason, or at least remove the pensions of the Joint Chiefs of Staff as a start. There's plenty of retributional justice that could be handed out in the first 90 days, 100 days of this administration. Don't let it linger. Pardon the J6 people day one, as you promised. Get them out of that gulag. That place was a gulag when the Watergate prisoners were in there in 1972. That's how bad it was in 1972. And this is, you know, an additional 60 years later. This is something out of a Solzhenitsyn Soviet gulag camp down there in the bowels of D.C. You may want to make a move to get rid of D.C. I mean, moving those departments out into the hinterland is the best idea I've heard in decades. And it's an idea that's kicked around going all the way back to FDR about getting stuff out of Washington and moving it out into the country. So that's another one.
Educate the audience. Who was jailed in the Watergate scandal in was it 72?
Well, they were all being held for trial in the D.C. jail, and they were brought up from the D.C. jail. Later, when they were sentenced, they were sent out to various prisons, federal prisons around the country, Danbury and Connecticut. But everyone at one point or another for extended periods of time were held in the D.C. jail while their trials were happening in D.C. And they discussed the unbelievably dark conditions that were. I mean, G. Gordon Liddy was in there. The different Watergate people were in. E. Howard Hunt was in there. Various people involved with Watergate were in that prison or jail.
I just spoke. I mean, I spoke with Jake Lang most recently yesterday. I'm outside. You know, I'm out for a bike ride and can't miss those calls when they come through. And I spoke with Dexter Taylor an hour before today's show. Dexter is serving 10 years in Coxsackie Correctional Facility.
I lived right by the Coxsackie Correctional Facility. I know. We talked about it with one of our members from locals, a guy named Alan, who is a former New York State trooper. Coxsackie is another state facility in New York State, in upstate New York.
What did you talk? How bad is Coxsackie? I mean,
Coxsackie's fine. They're all fine compared to the DC Gulag. Again, this is a jail that is the equivalent of Rikers Island in New York. Diddy is being held in the Brooklyn Detention Center, which is in South Brooklyn. That's a federal thing. The Rikers Island situation is a different situation where it's also deplorable. But this one in DC is a place that they punish political prisoners, putting them in there. This has been used as a political jail for years now in the District of Columbia, and it's got to end. It's got to end.
Michael Flynn, too much political baggage given the prosecutions from the prosecutions less so, but maybe the Q stuff. Do you think there's too much baggage to bring Flynn in? And
not for me. I don't think there's too much baggage for anybody. Bring this guy in. He deserves it. He earned it, and let him have a job at the Pentagon. I mean, a powerful job where he can do what he knows. That
open up the closet, open up the doors where the skeletons are.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just so everyone's clear, I agree with that. I'm just the steel man in terms of Michael.
Flynn. Michael Flynn. I mean, Paul Manafort. There has to be retribution for Paul Manafort. There has to be a spot for Steve Bannon. There has to be a spot for Peter Navarro. These people paid the ultimate price, and I don't mean the death penalty. I mean they went to prison for being politically connected to the man who's currently the president-elect of the United States for the second time. This outrage legally has to be dealt with, but there has to be retribution on the part of these men who have to be restored to good standing.
What did Manafort end up spending by way of time in jail?
I'm not sure of the totals, but there was a lot of time in solitary confinement. I strongly recommend you see the Manafort Tucker episode from about 10, 15 days ago. Fantastic interview. He talked about faith and family, getting him through solitary confinement. He eventually went in for tax evasion. They brought in forensic auditors and simply denied all his deductions from 20 years ago.
And then locked him up for it.
Not only did they lock him up for it, first they stripped his wealth. He had multiple homes around the country. One of them was right near me in Hollywood. And they took that way before trial. They took his wealth way before he went to trial, saying it was ill-gotten gains. Then he was nearly bankrupt by the time he actually went to trial. Then he was convicted on tax evasion and put into solitary confinement simply because he was connected to Trump.
What was the solitary? I'm trying to find the dates where he was sentenced. Solitary was, I'm not even trying to justify it. It's a joke, but that was for COVID, or was that for other reasons, protection?
I don't know, but Navarro got COVID in prison, and he kept saying, he was on with Greg Kelly the other night on Newsmax, and Greg Kelly kept saying jail, and he said, sir, it was not jail. I was in prison. I got COVID in prison. There's a big difference between jail and prison.
Yeah.
And Navarro was, not that he was feeling sorry for himself, but he got COVID while he was in prison, and he's an elderly man. These are not young people who they're doing this draconian sentencing to. This has to stop. This can never happen again in American history. This was way beyond, especially the J6ers, the internment of the Japanese Americans in during World War II by FDR. They were eventually given retribution financially many years later, and an apology, I think, from Bill Clinton or someone years later. This is nowhere near, the Japanese American is nowhere near the egregiousness of January 6th.
I'm going to get to the Weather Underground pardons in a bit. Maybe you have some knowledge on that. But before, because I found a way to do it, there's some small blessings in the mistake that I made. I found the tips from prior, so I can go through these. Best wishes, says Corn, get well soon. Get well soon, says Corn, we miss you. H.L. Lynn P says, Viva, thanks for all you and Barnes have done for us over the past 4 years. It's what a world. We're going to get to talk about some of the Canadian stuff at some point, but yeah, it's who'd have thunk it'd be in Florida 4 years ago. Yeah. Textmaster $5 says, since McConnell is threatening a secret ballot for the Senate leader, could Trump win president declassified? So I read this one.
Yeah.
What is it? I haven't been following. I mean, I followed it and I heard Elon or people talking about, a vote by way of Twitter. What did Elon say? Lex popular or Lex vote by the people when he did it the last time. What is the business about a secret ballot for the Senate leader?
It's not a question of secret ballot. Trump is trying to block recess appointments, of trying to ram shit through before he gets in there. I think he put out a statement tonight on Truth Social to block any maneuvering on the part of the Senate before he and the new senators get in there. Schumer, as I said earlier, is now an election denier, denying the fact that McCormick has been chosen by the Associated Press to be the victor in Pennsylvania, despite Mark Elias threatening to go to the United States Supreme Court because of Bob Casey, a deep state, long-term Democratic operative, but denying the orientation meeting of the senators by Chuck Schumer. I would just go in there and force my way into the meeting.
I just saw in the chat, I'm only going to answer it. I don't know if it's a troll, but Flynn never should have lied, never be trusted. Flynn didn't lie.
Sorry.
No, but Flynn didn't lie. That's
I know.
He didn't lie. He was actually equivocal in his answer,
Absolutely.
not lying.
Absolutely.
Jarzy, the Amish showed up for Trump, praying for Barnes. Thank you very much. We got S. Ren. Oh, yeah, the Amish. Barnes, Viva, and everyone listening. X and Rumble proved their value this election. We need to take back what belongs to the people. Tell everyone that will listen that the White House Press Corp need to have seats for X and Rumble so we get real answers to real questions.
MSN that's absolutely true. And it should be a rotating seat that's not permanent.
Viva, did you see that David Menzies got arrested again today? I did not see that. I'm going to Google that in a second. On a lighter note, we got a meme from Pasha Moyer. In Minnesota, as winter approaches, we begin our search for the abominable snowman.
Abdominal. That was a joke.
Oh, okay.
See the abdomen. It's like a snowman version of you.
Let me see here. Yeah, a little bit. My lower one might. Okay. Feel better soon, Robert. Thinks now. Red Team 33. Kamala Harris is a wonderful example of terrible things that can result when men decide to think with their penis. The story of Trump is the American Iliad.
Iliad, yeah.
Hyperdynamic. I have to go read the Iliad. Can someone suggest to Trump or Elon to consider announcing $1 million reward for information leading to the successful prosecution of anyone involved in large-scale election fraud in connection with Trump or Carrie Lake? But they must come forward immediately. There's got to be a lowlife who will break for that kind of money. Then you'll get accused of election interference or some sort of unlawful contribution.
Well, in the future, I'm proposing a strike force that goes in at the time that this happens. And you got to do away with these laws that allow them to count for 13 days in states like Arizona. These are designed exactly for this purpose.
Grammykin says something that I did not know. Probation is expensive. You have to pay the probation officer an amount every month, and you have to keep the probation office informed of your address. And if you get a new car, that has to be reported. You are in constant danger of being charged with petty bullshit and hauled back into jail.
True.
Menzies was arrested. Kamala installed and Trump assassinated is the playbook. Then false flags to blame the right and the military taking over. Alex Jones, that came from Noodles. Rusty Gus, Viva, even if a Jan 6er had done unspeakable violence, they would need a pardon because every one of their trial rights was ignored 1,000%.
True.
I am Cam 55. I watched the last 45 minutes of Alan's election pod the morning after the big win, and it was hilarious. He was so distraught. He kept saying people emailing me still respect me and want me to continue this pod. When his supporters asked about the keys, he then wouldn't discuss them until his next pod. And what are the chances they are all on Zelensky number 5 from Rocket? Do you know what that is, Mark?
I think it's
what are the chances they're all
Zelensky? Maybe his speed dial or something.
Yeah. Or hold on, I want to come back to this. Okay, Kamala installed false flags. Okay, have you read the news about the Iranian plot to kill
yeah, but I mean, until I didn't read the indictment. Did you actually read the?
I read the indictment. I mean, it's just a long story about these criminals working together.
Yeah.
If two things come to mind when I'm reading this, past his prologue, and Barnes and I talked about one of the alleged terrorists who they tried to get to blow up the Sears Tower in Chicago, and trying to get these people who are vulnerable, or trying to get anybody to say they're going to do something stupid so that they can then manufacture a pretext for, I don't know, a war with Iran. So on the one hand, I'm suspicious in that whether or not it was a serious, legitimate plot or fabricating it for the purposes of creating an Iranian intervention pretext. Flip side, if it was, and it was advanced and it was serious and legitimate, it makes it even more inexplicable, the security lapses from the United States Secret Service as relates to Trump.
Look, I can only go back to Bill Clinton, who, when he learned of the assassination attempt on the life of George Herbert Walker Bush, he launched Tomahawk cruise missiles into their intelligence building, went on national TV. He announced he was launching cruise missiles in response to the assassination attempt or plot against George Herbert Walker Bush, who he had recently defeated in an election. And then he launched cruise missiles and leveled their intelligence building. I think that's the way it's been handled traditionally in this country. Biden, of course, was just treading sand today at the beach. I don't know why they were letting him near sand. That would seem to be sadistic torture by some sort of psycho in his staff who wanted to see some funny video. But now on Wednesday, this is Sunday. Okay, Wednesday, how about this meeting? Trump going to the White House to meet with Joe Biden. How weird is this going to be, Viva?
There's a meme going around that, like, you know, it was Joe and Trump smoking weed, and Biden's wearing a MAGA hat, and like he's been in collusion or cahoots, and it's been some sort of plot to humiliate Kamala. What do you make of it? I mean, I presume they have to meet, they have to coordinate, and maybe
they didn't meet the last time. There was no meeting the last time, so I don't know if it's a tradition. It probably is. I mean, Obama.
Well, they're making it difficult now, at least for people to oppose the transition of power. The theory about the CNN guy is kind of decent. Like, appoint Kamala the president so that somebody else then has to take care of the certification of the vote, so that she doesn't certify her own humiliating defeat. Who becomes vice president if Kamala Harris becomes president?
Nobody. It'll be an empty seat.
Okay, it's not like the Speaker of the House would then.
No. You have to get them confirmed, and they're not going to bother. It'd have to be a confirmation process.
I want to see what the date.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, go Agnew. What?
No, I'm saying when Agnew was arrested and brought out of the vice presidency, they had to bring in Ford, and Ford had to be confirmed. And then Nixon left. Ford moved up the ladder, and eventually, I think he brought in Rockefeller for a couple of minutes there. But then he lost the re-election, Ford, to Jimmy Carter.
The Weather Underground, I think Clinton got some flack for pardoning. Was it Clinton who pardoned some of the Weather Underground perpetrators?
Well, I mean, there's Bill Ayers and Bernardine Dohrn. There's a bunch of these people. I mean, keep in mind, Bill Ayers, who was one of the leaders of the Weather Underground, along with Bernardine Dohrn, both came back and received no punishment whatsoever, went back to being teachers, professors at college. Bill Ayers famously ghostwriting Obama's memoir. And he put in, how do we know that? Because he put in various hidden gems about the merchant marines, according to Bill Ayers, who then wanted to get additional money out of Obama for the sales of the memoir. That the sales went through the roof, and Bill Ayers came back to get another chunk of change, and Obama boxed him out. But the funny thing about the first Obama memoir, is that Bill Ayers put in certain Easter eggs about the merchant marine, which he was in, that Obama was never anywhere near, to prove that he had written it, Viva, if that makes any sense.
I sort of, but when someone ghostwrites a book, they don't disclose it, or does it become leaked afterwards? How do people discover
it? It very rarely gets disclosed. There are people who ghostwrite books who've done it enough where they will get a cover title on a book in smaller print, where it says if you look at the Bill O'Reilly books, he's not writing them. The ones by Roger Stone are not written by Roger Stone. These are all written by ghostwriters. And when you get a veteran ghostwriter, they do command the contractual power to have their name on the cover of the book. And you'll see that with certain people. That's not the case with memoirs like Obama's memoir. This was supposedly written by him, which is not true. It was written by Bill Ayers.
They are all Bill Ayers, the founder of the Weather Underground. For those who don't know, what did they did real terrorism.
Oh yeah, hundreds of bombings throughout the United States. I mean, absolutely. They blew up the Capitol. They blew up a lot of things in the United States. And then when it got too hot to handle, they had the Days of Rage in Chicago, smashing all the windows.
What was the stated raison d'être of
and bring the war home? They wanted to make the American people feel the violence of the war in Vietnam by creating violence in the streets of the United States.
Okay, it's similar. Well, I guess not similar in spirit, but similar to BLM. I mean, it's actually analogous.
BLM is the political stepchild of the Weather Underground. Well, Antifa would be closer, I think.
Mark, let me bring up some of the questions up here over on Rumble, and we're going to get to these. Super Buff Shaft, whose name I always love saying because I can say it without getting in trouble. I know you haven't, Viva, but has Mark Groubert watched Jovan Pulitzer's Arizona 2021 audit? He goes over votes from many of the same social security numbers, ballot cracking, mass adjudication, and why things going on now. Did we flesh out what happened now in Arizona?
I don't know if we flushed it out, but it's a similar situation to what is happening in California, where you've got X amount of days, 13 days, I believe, in Arizona, and 38 days in California for the Secretary of State to sign off on elections, to certify the elections, 38 days. So what they do is they count for a while, take a break, go on vacation, come back, see how many they need. A bunch of people already texted me in the past few days how their Republican congressional candidate has had their election stolen by long counts. The long count, as I explained to you when we were doing that show last week, the long count goes back to Box 13 out of Southern Texas with LBJ, 1948 Senate race against Coke Stevenson. They came up with an additional 202 votes 6 days after the election. A couple of weeks later, it was whittled down to 87. LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson, went on to become the Master of the Senate, which is a great book by Robert Caro. I recommend all the Caro books on LBJ. They are masterpieces of biographies about the man, one of the most powerful politicians in the history of the United States, because he was on so many different levels of power. Not unlike some people we've discussed today. He was, in the Senate. He was Master of the Senate, Speaker of the Senate, Senate Majority Leader. He was Vice President. He was a congressman. And then eventually somebody had trouble with their head and he became president. Then he won by one of the biggest landslides in 1964. He also wiretapped the campaign planes of his opponent and sent people in to break into Barry Goldwater's headquarters and steal documents, but it's very rarely discussed because of the Watergate stories. But he did similar things for his own reelection. But getting back to the election part, he won the election by 87 votes, 202 of them that appeared 6 days after the election was over, brought together by the Duke of Duval County, a cat named George Parr, who was one of his henchmen down there. And they gave him the nickname, which stuck his entire life by the media, called Landslide Lyndon, sarcastically, because he won by 87 votes, the closest Senate race at that time in American history. It may still be a record, I'm not sure.
Okay, very cool. Now there's another question over here. Bring it back up. Add to stage. Someone said get the night mode on for locals. I don't know if there is one. T1990 says Barnes is right to abolish the District of Columbia, fold the Swamp City into Maryland. It will be a far more appropriate company in Maryland with the city of Baltimore. And then we got Rakeda Law for Prez. You missed mine from the last stream, but Melissa Ryan Lively is being floated for press secretary. Bring back up died suddenly X account for photo. You can thank me later. Not that. I don't know who Melissa Ryan Lively is, but I'm going to certainly go see it. Not for those reasons. And then Axel Jonas, did we get this? Arguably, Donald Trump is the 45th president of the United States. He was the current legitimate president. He was the current legitimate for the past 4 years, or president in exile. Meanwhile, in America had no president.
Well, look at the irony. If they had not stolen it from him, he would not be around right now. They could have gotten over this.
It's even more amazing because if they hadn't stolen
they
it,
would have had to go against J.D. Vance or
no, that's the whole thing. Is he would never have picked a J.D. Vance because he wouldn't even have been in the political realm where
they could have been going Indian versus Indian. It could have been Harris versus Haley.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with Elizabeth Warren in there.
No. I'm talking about Dot Indian.
No, the amazing thing is, had Trump just served his second term, this revolution of the post-assassination would never have occurred. You wouldn't have the coalition with RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard. You wouldn't have had the Democrat Party has basically imploded in real time. You wouldn't have had this defection from the Democrat Party, this coalition. It would have just been 4 more years, would have been bogged down with whatever.
Let me ask you a news question. What happened to the second shooter who tried to shoot in Mar-a-Lago in the golf course? Where did he go?
So Ryan Ruth was going.
What happened to Matthew Crooks's parents? Where did they go? Where did these stories go? I'm talking about the stories. Where did these stories go? We've dedicated over 60 years of stories about Lee Harvey Oswald. Here we have 2 living potential Lee Harvey Oswalds, and no one will even talk about these 2 storylines.
Mark, it's so obviously crazy that the media is not on it 24/7.
24/7.
Even those who we were on it. I mean, Bongino was on it, and I'm not. There's no fault and there's no shade. It's that there's. It's not that there's no interest. There's no curiosity. The last I heard was the trial date for Ryan Ruth moved to February. He faces attempting to assassinate. So his trial date.
I want another case I'm going to tell you about. The hammer attacker of Pelosi's husband got life without parole. Got life without parole. I want someone to explain that case to me out of San Francisco.
Holy crap! I haven't thought of that. DePop sentence. David DePop sentence. Hold on, I'm going to bring this up.
What do they get? What do they get?
Hold on, I'm going to go to the website.
Maybe I'm wrong.
David DePop sentenced after conviction on assault and attempted kidnapping charges. Okay, David DePop Richmond was sentenced to 360 months. How many years?
Okay.
What the hell's my problem? It's 12 months in a year. It's 120 months in 10 years. It's that's 30 years.
Right.
And 5 years.
I think he got 30 to life. Did he get 30 to life or something?
Well, we're going to see
some insane sentence. What did this guy get?
360 months is 30 years. I'm not wrong about that. Okay,
right,
that's 30 years. 5 years of supervised release following his conviction of assault and attempted kidnapping. Yet the trial happened. The sentence is a warning. Violence against those who serve the public and their families will not be tolerated. Said the Oh my goodness! This
is the party that's opposed to bail, opposed to prison, opposed to incarceration, opposed to the police, and a guy is involved with a drunken husband of a congresswoman in some gay twisted thing where he opens the door to the police and says, "Come on in, everything's fine." That guy gets 30 years to life.
Well, he did hit him in the head with a hammer. That much actually happened.
My mother hit me in the head with a hammer.
No, that was a crack. It was a cracked skull, but he was public about a week later. But when the hell did? Where was I? That trial occurred.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. Because there's no real media, these stories disappear into the zeitgeist. There's no. The legacy media is an accordion, a mighty Wurlitzer, as it was called by the CIA. That cranks out these stories upon desire for them to go public and then reels them back in when they want them to go away. There seems to be no consistency other than a couple of women who, are on websites that we read. The mainstream legacy media needs to be completely eliminated. You can't have them in the press office. You can't have the New York Times in the front row in the White House briefing room. It's absurd. It's absurd.
You got Julie Kelly, who's following the Jan 6 stuff.
Right.
You got, Posobiec covers a lot of stuff. But
you've got Crabtree, who covers the Secret Service for many years.
Susan Crabtree is.
Crabtree.
The I can understand the concern from some, nobody wants to get bogged down in one subject matter for the rest of their lives, even if it's extensive. And you can understand, I was paying attention.
Actually, I just want to push back on that because as a journalist, I had a beat, and a lot of journalists like to have a particular beat because you develop sources over years, and you do want to be on that particular beat for a long period of time. And Julie Kelly and these other people who are on these various beats want that. I wanted that when I was a print journalist.
It's interesting. I guess it might be a sign of the ADHD. I'm fascinated by the DePop trial. I would have loved to have covered it, but then
of course.
Geez, but I didn't even know what happened.
No. He had a hammer. He took a hammer, and this is a guy with multiple DUIs. The victim. I wish he would have testified. He probably couldn't even remember where he met the guy.
It's stunning and shocking and very, very suspicious that you have Ruth and Crooks. Everything that happened.
That's my new assassination law firm, Ruth and Crooks.
It's not bad. No, Crooks dead. they dispose of the body.
Right.
Nothing with the we still haven't found out
Where are
his
the parents? Why doesn't a reporter go and knock on their fucking door? I am a reporter. I'd like to get a quote. Okay, you don't have any comment? Great. That's what I'm printing. No comment from the parents. But this disappearing act by these two people who live in I assume it's Bucks County or Butler, Pennsylvania, it's astonishing. It's absolutely astonishing.
No, and crooks who had encrypted accounts that we still don't yet know anything about, with this Iranian plot that's occurring at the same time, which puts the security lapses on even more suspicious blast. But we don't know who Crooks was in touch with. Ruth, who's an international, seemingly terrorist recruiter for the purposes of amassing an army for soldiers for Ukraine, publicly doing it. Oh, that's there's nothing more going on. Nobody's investigating that. And
the simplest case would be if these people were just lone nuts, people who escape from a mental institution and try to shoot a political figure. That would be the most simplistic. Anybody could go to bed at night and rest their head on the pillow story. But they're not. These are complicated people with complicated backgrounds. Thereby, I don't care about fueling conspiracy theories, but they're just not lone nut stories.
I'll bring this one up from our locals community. A funny meme. I do not endorse this meme. I'm just.
You know what's funny? That's funny.
She
won every state. Did you see that meme? That map that she won every state that did
without a voter ID.
Voter ID.
Well, I want to double check it before I retweet it. I'm
of course
confident.
You do. Of course you do. The king of anal. Go ahead, double check everything.
Well, Elon tweeted it. I didn't notice a community note, but I'm going to independently verify that.
Go ahead, grok face.
No, but what I not to. How do I bring this one out here? Backstage. The only problem with this one is. It was the Muslim cleric in was it in Dearborn? No, but meanwhile the Muslim clerics up in Dearborn endorsed Trump. So like you can't even. I don't even. Well, there were the two of the Democrat states were there, but
boy, the squad's been pretty quiet lately, haven't they?
AOC was crying about something.
Yeah, she's crying all the time. That's not a big deal. But those other ones, they're kind of laying low.
It's amazing. It is.
The only guy who comes out every time who couldn't lose an election in a million years, Bernie Sanders. He comes out and he'll analyze everything till the cows come home up there in Vermont and go after everyone's, saying these are working class people. And, we never gave them any alternative. And Trump swooped in and he convinced them they were victims. So they voted for him and blah, 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 blah. But I mean, here's a guy who was robbed of his nomination by
but meanwhile, then he bent over and endorsed her anyhow. I'm asking you, please. No, I got to bring one up who never misses an opportunity to open his big stupid mouth and make himself look like a raging jackass is Eric Swalwell. You think the lack of introspection to make this tweet. Nikki Haley tweets out, I was proud to work with President Trump defending America at the United Nations. I wish him and all those who serve great success in moving us forward to a stronger, safer America over the next 4 years. After Trump says, I will not be inviting former Ambassador Nikki Haley or former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to join the Trump administration, which is currently in formation. Very much enjoyed and appreciated the work, yada, yada. Make America. Okay. Swalwell, the dumbass, puts out, lol, 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 lol. The replies to this tweet were, what happens if you translate it? Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's funny.
The replies to that tweet were so obvious, like pictures of him kissing bang, bang, fang, fang, lol, lol, lol. The other ones were the map of the United States, lol, lol, lol. Like they just have their asses handed to them in the biggest defeat in effectively political history. And they think they're getting a laugh at Nikki Haley, who nobody wanted.
Right. I can only use a sports analogy because it just happened. It would be the same as the New York Yankees yelling and laughing that the Dodgers didn't clean their clocks, that they didn't get beat by the Dodgers, that they didn't lose the World Series. That's my sports mind. That's how it sounds to me. The New York Yankees going, you never beat us, bro. I know it was 5 games. I know, but we're better than you. Go fuck yourselves. That's how it sounds in my sports-related mind. A team gets trounced, like the Yankees, by the Dodgers, and this is the equivalent of that in politics, and yet they're saying, nanny goat.
Here you got the picture of him kissing a CCP spy. You got the map, LOL. You got, what do we got here? MAGA, lol. I mean, it's just, they're stupid. They're stupid idiots. And Swalwell, Kinzinger, my goodness, it couldn't have happened.
Well, the term limit part of Trump's 10-point plan was probably the most interesting. The term limit thing would be the biggest upheaval in political history if he could pull that off.
Did he mention the duration of the term?
No, he didn't get into it because that's subject to negotiation. I mean, first you got to lay down the idea and make sure it happens. You can there's ways to skin the cat. You can grandfather people in. That's been done previously. There's a lot of different ways to maneuver. He just loves deals. He just wants to get in the weeds on any deal. That's his drug of choice, is making a deal. He loves to negotiate, this maniac. And I say that with all love. He wants to get over there. And I think he's going to call for a ceasefire in about a week.
Well, they're jumping on a ceasefire. Hamas is jumping on it. The Houthis are jumping on it.
I'm saying, I think he's going to, just to finish out, I think he's going to call for a ceasefire. And he's mentioned a DMZ with Putin and Zelensky in Ukraine and Russia. That's just until he gets into office. He will then sit down with both of them and carve out a deal, and it's going to be over in 5 minutes. And I say 5 minutes, it may take a couple of months. The Palestinians, there was a woman there who was the prime minister of Israel, who famously said, the Palestinians never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity.
Well, I know people take issue with that. It was Golda Meir who I think originally said it, and people take issue with that. One thing is for certain, Yasser Arafat could have had a deal, but didn't want to get killed and ended up arguably getting killed anyhow.
Yeah.
Bibi, what's the relationship like between Bibi and Trump?
Bibi Rebozo and Nixon, or Bibi Netanyahu?
Benjamin Netanyahu and Trump. I know that Obama hates Netanyahu, which might make Netanyahu and Trump a little bit closer in terms of a relationship. What do you think?
Imagine if Netanyahu paid money and had a war chest to defeat Kamala Harris in the election. That Netanyahu was sending tens of millions of dollars here to support his own candidates, because that's what Obama did in the Israeli election a number of years ago. He sent advisors over there and money over there to help defeat Netanyahu in an independent democratic election. And we're just supposed to say, it is what it is. It's not what it is. I mean, you're talking about election interference. It's interfering in the integrity of a democratically elected government. But they didn't think twice about it. It's another colored revolution.
Yeah. Mark, let me just get some in our locals community. Hold on, I'll bring these up now. I don't know what the pause is. The pause is not good for either of us. Sammy says $5 regarding my previous comment. Maybe that was the joke from Donald John Trump, because he was pointing out how his campaign has so much extra money since he leveraged the use of the podcast. LOL. Sorry if I'm a little burnt out. Brain isn't. Dude, you and me both. You're not the one who.
There's been a long. Accidentally. I'll tell you something else. Greg Kelly talked about this the other night, of being depressed after this election, and it's not really depression. It's more like we were in such an agitated state of, and I feel this too, like just a flattened affect mentally, because it was such a heightened state of alert, and he's not president yet, and we're in this limbo period here where I just feel like I'm exhausted. A million podcasts to help, working to get Trump elected, doing whatever we could individually, politically, news-wise, and I'm not alone. There's a lot of people who called me up and said they're beaten up, they're tired, and there's a lot of depression going around. And I don't mean depression, clinical depression. I just mean like a flattened affect and just a little flatter now because the thing's finally over.
Well, it was 24/7 for the last 4 years. And especially once Kamala Harris, the last 110 days, 24/7, because you're constantly surveilling the news to find the clips to make that woman look like the idiot that she is. It's endless. You sleep it, you dream it, you wake up and you do it again. That much I understand. But now it's you try to shift that pressure. You try to shift that momentum to make sure that Trump doesn't screw up in his appointments. Charlie Kirk and others, a bunch of them now, the populist movement, making sure that Trump doesn't bring back Rhino warhorse. And
good. I mean, those military picks that he made were insane. I just don't think he's good at picking employees. But again, does the CEO of Pepsi hire everyone? No, he's got somebody in human resources.
No, but his explanation on Rogan as to why he made the hiring mistakes that he made the first time around, I'm inclined to believe.
Right. Why don't you tell him what he said? Because I remember what he said.
What Trump said at the time?
Yeah, on Rogan.
Oh, well, no, what he said at the time was he was trying to, he was trusting people, relying on people as to who he should bring into the administration.
Well, he shouldn't have done that. I mean, now you definitely don't do it because you've already been burned. And the first pick out of the gate is a chick from Big Tobacco, who's Pat Summerall's daughter, famous New York Giants football player.
Robert did not like her or does not like her during the campaign and had some.
He is correct. He is correct, my friend. Once again.
That's not what I wanted to bring up here. School shooters' parents go to jail. Crook's parents, nada, not even a question. Forget it. There's no charges. You got the Michigan.
What is this one? I have to write a screenplay about Timothy Leary?
Hold on. Roostang says, is Mark Groubert considering writing a screenplay about his times with his old friend and mentor?
First of all, he wasn't my friend, a mentor. That's insane. But Timothy we were Leary. Asked to run as a president and vice president with a piece of freedom ticket. I never discussed it with Leary, and I met him a couple of times and hung out with him, but he wasn't my friend or mentor.
Is Timothy Leary Dennis Leary's dad?
That's a funny line. That's funny. No, he's not.
And we got Odin of the North says, repeat after me, Viva. I am so fucking with. I knew that was going. Greg, could Barnes have been poisoned? So no, only to quell. I see what you're saying. Poison from last weekend. C0 Hedge, liberal cat ladies reveal battle plan to poison Trump men with aqua.
I saw that.
Article claims food servers are doing it. Initial symptoms include stomach pain and nausea. First of all, this would be why I don't eat out. I don't think Barnes eats out very much either. I'd be very, very beyond skeptical about that.
I have a food taster, so I took special measures.
I have a joke that it's a Lonely Island from a song YOLO that hire a food taster and make him check your food for poison. DJT truth that the Democrats are being squeezed by vendors to pay campaign bills. He urged the Republican Party to help out. Oh, come on. It's up here.
Did Trump offer to pay her debt? Did I read that the other day?
To help her wherever they could financially in the spirit of unity. I'm sorry, but I'm petty. F them. I'm not just beyond petty. Fuck them, because their campaign spending is pretty much like their government spending. They don't understand, and they hope that someone else bails them out. No, I would let them leave them high and dry for that. I'm not helping them with their money. They don't have enough money to repay their debts for the campaign, and Trump's got to pay for his own secret services. You're gonna like his own.
She paid this former fat bastard Lizzo. I think Lizzo took Ozempic. She may be a lot thinner now. She paid her like $2.3 million to show up.
I'm looking at what
they're
she
paying
paid
all
over.
these celebrity millions and millions of dollars to show up on the campaign trail for them. And Beyonce didn't sing a song; they got bent out of shape. Yeah. Springsteen did sing a song, and they got bent out of shape. I've never seen anything quite like this. The fact that they brought busloads of people in, actors who were hired and paid to come to these rallies. I mean, there was so much duplicity involved in her campaign. And I understand this was a 90-day campaign, but somebody else pointed out on the Democratic side, if she was exposed any longer, the numbers would have been worse for her. You know what I mean? In other words, this was like the political Democratic version of a blitzkrieg. You know, don't let her be exposed. Don't let her do anything. But the longer she was exposed, the worse her numbers got, Viva.
I can't know with the idea. Why would anyone bail her out from her campaign expenditures when she blew the money? And while apparently they don't have the budget at the Secret Service to adequately protect her, hell no, I wouldn't. That's not unity. That's responsibility. Let him.
The truth of the matter is it's done all the time, and it will be done for her.
That sucks. Okay.
But it won't be from government money. It's going to be from DNC coffers.
Well, that's better. Make them pay for it.
Yeah, it's not coming from the government.
We got. Call it Dinosaur Media instead of Legacy Media.
Yeah, that's a good name. I would go with that.
That's G-Teen says term limits are a trap. Dems are a hive mind. Good Republican are hard to find. That's interesting.
It'll zero out over time. You'll get rid of the people who want to be there the rest of their lives.
I don't know if this is true. The Cook's parents are living with Sam Bankman-Fried and his parents in the mansion he got to keep despite the bill. Okay, this is a joke. Despite the billions, he will never pay in restitution in those he robbed of their crypto. DePop was asking where Nancy was, probably stripped down to underwear so he could not have blood on his clothes when making his getaway.
What? That's weird.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
I know you haven't, Viva. Has Mr. Okay, we got that. Okay, good. Groubert, let me see what I there was other stuff that I wanted to talk about. Hold on. There's a couple of questions before I screwed everything up.
By the way, this painting in back of me is my drug on brains.
Is it a Hunter Biden? Let me see.
No, it's my drug on brains. It's my brain on drugs. No, I don't. Hunter Biden. Yeah, dude. You know they keep asking Trump if he's going to pardon Hunter Biden. Why can't Biden pardon Hunter Biden?
I don't understand.
I don't understand this storyline. Yeah.
I don't. It makes no sense.
Makes no
it's
sense.
Obvious. But Biden, there'll be unity. Biden's going to pardon Trump.
Yeah.
Pardon Hunter. Pardon himself. Maybe not Kamala. Pardon all the feds, and so they don't have to worry about persecution. And then they'll all resign before Trump comes into office. Why would Biden?
Okay,
not
so let me ask
pardon
you
his
this:
son?
you're a former lawyer from a foreign country. What's going to happen on November 26th when Trump shows up in Manhattan?
November? For sentencing?
Yeah, what's going to happen? Go ahead, Nostradamus.
No, I think I already made this. The prediction is that the judge is going to vacate the conviction, the verdict. And he's going to say,
why?
My hands are tied because we need to do an analysis of the charges before we can even submit it to trial. And this is all on the Supreme Court. And if I had my way,
okay.
No, I have to go back and double check. I'm fairly certain I'm predicting he's going to vacate the conviction. There's first of all, there's obviously no way that he's sending Trump to jail, period. This is Judge Marchand. This is the 34 count felony where they got their charges.
So you get 34 count felony and you walk?
Yeah, for sure. But he's going to say, I would have sentenced him to whatever, but my hands are tied. Supreme Court ruling says we have to do the analysis as to what actions were presidential, potentially presidential. And so they can refile the charges if they want and recharge him, but they probably won't because there'll be a sitting president. That's it. I'm sticking to that. They're going to vacate the verdict because they're going to vacate it, or the Marchand is going to do this. He's going to blame it on SCOTUS, and he's going to say, I would have been inclined to, and my hands are tied, and someone's going to evade the law for now, but that's it. That's my prediction. What do you think?
5 years probation, dismissed without prejudice, and he's got to report to a probation officer.
You really think that?
Something's got to give. You got 34 felony counts. He's convicted on 34 felonies.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I hope it's what you're saying, but I mean, I unless this guy just decides all of a sudden he's had a come to Jesus phone call or something.
No. I think
how does he get himself out of it?
Well, I think he gets out of it by blaming it on SCOTUS, and then.
But how do you legally blame something? This is a sentencing hearing.
No, because in the interim, what has happened is they say, look, it's a sentencing hearing for something that they ought potentially not have ever charged him with in the first place, because the Supreme Court ruling didn't exist when they.
What happens with Letitia James now? What does she do for a living?
Letitia James is the bigger pickle. That's getting overturned in appeal. I don't know. We're waiting on the Supreme Court, not the Supreme Court. Sorry, the Court of Appeal ruling.
What happens down in Atlanta with Fani Willis? What's your prediction down there?
Those are, I think those are going to get, I don't know how they're going to get dismissed. That's not going anywhere. And Fani, the only problem with Fani is that she just got reelected. I don't know.
Yeah, she's back in power. Now, what happens with Jack Smith? Does he disappear to Belgium or to Brussels?
Jack Smith right now.
Where does he go? Where does this guy go? Does he just
CNN.
disappear?
He's going to, I guarantee he goes to CNN. I mean, maybe CNN seems to be getting a little bit responsible. He's going to go to one of the legacy meetings. He's going to have no role in government, period.
He's kind of like a dry personality, though. I don't know about that guy on camera. Have you heard him speak publicly? I mean, this is not a very, very effusive cat. I mean,
that might make him be like the best one for the job, is that he's easy to give him the lines to read, so to speak. No, so Jack Smith, the rumorings now is that that's being wound up quickly, and they're going to say we can't prosecute a sitting president, so that's all going to be struck.
What about her report prosecuting a sitting vice president who stole classified documents and put them in his garage?
Well, I believe.
Why does that disappear? I don't understand what legal mechanism disappears that ruling by her.
Well, because first of all, Hur said that he's not fit to stand trial. So
by the way, his father is named Ben-Hur. I don't know if you know his father.
No, but that's my joke because I kept on making the mistake with Ben-Hur. What I would love to see, but Biden is going to either pardon himself or he's going to resign, and Kamala Harris is going to pardon him. But I don't think he can rely on Kamala Harris to pardon him. So I think he's going to do it himself. So that's going to disappear. I want to see the transcript. And when Trump gets in,
I just want to tell you, the new Israeli defense minister, they just put it up on the screen, is named Israel Katz.
No way.
That's the guy's name. Israel Katz is now the defense minister. He fired the other guy. Your obsession with Bibi Netanyahu. He's now hired Israel Katz.
Well, my obsession with Netanyahu will end when he's out of office, and they have, I believe, a different leader in there. There has to be accountability in there as well. But
that's called elections, and his approval rating keeps getting higher the more you come down on him.
But that's part and parcel of the problem, and that's part and parcel of supporting my theory, not contradicting it. But also, all of it's to say with Trump, RICO is done. The only question is whether or
Okay.
not Fani Willis gets sanctioned. Oh gosh, I have to remember what
There's a
happened.
guy named Stefan Posentino that I really recommend your audience look into, an attorney. He was the attorney for Cassidy, who was one of the whistleblowers that testified before the Cheney committee, as I call it. Posentino is trying to get is suing the federal government because of what they did to him as the lawyer for this woman. I highly recommend that your viewers watch Posentino with Tucker. It's a startling interview about a guy I'd never heard of before, and either Tucker for that matter. But holy cow, Stefan, Stefan Posentino with 2 S's, and Tucker Carlson. I strongly recommend you watch that interview and also the one I mentioned before with Paul Manafort.
Manafort I'm going to watch.
The Manafort one is genius.
Okay, let me just list the predictions so I don't forget them. The appeal, we're still waiting on the appeal of the judge who did not dismiss Fani, but dismissed or order the dismissal of Nathan Wade. I think the judge is going to dismiss or kick out the whole office, and that's where it dies in the Georgia RICO case. New York, Merchan is going to vacate the verdict. That's probably the longer shot, but that's my sincere legal and
I believe whatever is done by Merchan will be overturned by the United States Supreme Court. But I don't think Merchan is just going to walk away.
No, but see, that's why Merchan dismissing this and blaming it on the Supreme Court is his own self.
Okay, we shall see, my
We'll
friend.
see.
November 26th is not that far away.
No, it's too. I kind of want to go up to New York for this, but I don't want to go. I'm still not going to that hellhole. Not Leticia James. Yeah, Leticia James. She's getting overturned on appeal. Engeron's not going to get sanctioned, but one can only hope. And then Jack Smith is done, and the Florida case never revised. So that's it. The only issue outstanding for Trump is the Leticia James, and that one's got to work its way through the Court of Appeal. So the predictions are in, and Fani Willis is getting...
I'm not a lawyer, but what I wanted, what I said the other day on my show, I want these all to play out legally. I don't want anyone to walk away in the middle of the night. I want these cases to be brought to legal fruition, not somebody cutting and running because he won the presidency and he's president-elect. I want these as an American citizen to be played out where they started and where they should end, not by a guy just disappearing, packing his bags like Jack Smith and fleeing to Belgium. I want not only just justice, but I want an end to their storyline. You know what I mean? I want it to end in to show how farcical these charges are. I want it to end in a court of law where the farce began. If that makes any sense to anybody.
No, it makes total sense. You want a definitive, conclusive ending. It doesn't just not to be continued when the facts arise again. Bottom line, though, Mark, my dad always said this. When I was practicing and when he was training us for practice, judges don't like making decisions. They don't want to. And in as much as possible, they'll avoid having to make the hard definitive decision. So I don't see that happening anywhere in this.
Okay.
Especially in the Jack Smith case, because that's the biggest one where forget the persecution of Trump. The legal question is whether or not Jack Smith was even legally appointed.
Right. Well, I'll just take the Jack Smith case for a second. I would like to see some sort of hearing or some sort of thing that says his appointment was unconstitutional. I mean, I'm just making this up, but I mean, I'd like it to be, which it may be unconstitutional, but I'd like the plug to be pulled by the legal system that created this monster. Not just like I'm leaving because Trump is coming in, he's going to fire me anyway bullshit. I want either the Congress or the Supreme Court, somebody to pull the plug on Jack Smith and say his entire appointment was illegal. Everything about it was unconstitutional.
The reason why they're not going to do that, or at least it won't be done judicially, is that it would highlight that Merrick Garland acted unlawfully. It would highlight the fact that the entire DOJ was in fact a weaponized arm of the Biden regime to go.
Well, I'm also calling for the indictment of Merrick Garland the second he leaves office.
Absolutely. First of all, the indictment. I would have gone with impeachment, but I'll take indictment.
No. Second he leaves, just indict him and let the chips fall where they may.
Indict him and indict Mayorkas. Mayorkas, I think most. Mayorkas, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what Blinken has. I know I don't like him.
I don't know about that.
I don't think he's done anything quite as bad as Mayorkas and They both should be. They should have been impeached. They should be. I'm sure someone can find a crime because without even having to get too commie on them. I loathe them.
Sometimes a little commie is good, Viv.
Well, no, it's a little commie might be justice. I'll call it justice.
Yeah,
no, I'm not finding the man to find the crime.
No, we know who the man is. I mean,
they've committed crimes, like objectively.
Yeah, Yeah.
At Texley says Merchant is sitting as a judge in an acting capacity, not seated by a regular process. Interesting. Fellow patriots, yesterday was my last day of 2 years of probation for January 6th. Shut up, Luriaz. I'm relieved to be done, but I'm so broken for all those still not free. Pray for them. Most of us were peaceful and innocent. Justice, retribution, and accountability first. Then
has to be a
unity.
class action suit, Viva, by all
There
the
will
J6.
that I don't think.
Why?
It's
Why?
Because on the
Tell
one
me
hand,
why.
you would need to have class action civilly against whom? You're going to
The
have
federal government. The federal government.
The only reason that could potentially go somewhere is because you're going to have a new federal government that would want it to succeed to shame the prior federal government.
Thank you.
But I still say it goes nowhere legally.
What are they going to do? They're going to go on Jeopardy and win the money?
No, I think the problem is they're not going to get anything except for potentially.
Right, but how would they get compensation other than?
Forget compensation. They're not even going to get vindication because all that's going to happen is they might get some form of absolution from a Trump administration, but they're not going to get any money back. They're not going to get anybody who.
That's why I'm suggesting a class action suit by all the different victims of the January 6th illegal tribunal.
I don't
know. It's a no-brainer to me. I'm not an attorney, but I presume, other than the fear of being disbarred by the Washington D.C. bar, which is a real fear, I would believe there's enough Michael Cohen ambulance chasing attorneys out there who would be willing to take a shot at this. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know.
No, I'm wondering. I have to check the rules. I'd have to either double check or pick Barnes's brain on the rules of immunity against civil suit because I don't think it goes anywhere. I don't think.
Robert, blink if I'm correct. Blink twice if Viva's correct, Robert.
We'll get next week. We'll have an answer to that. So what? Look, we've been doing this except for my stupid move of accidentally cutting the stream. We've done very good. Now I think what we're going to do is go. Mark, do you have like 30 more minutes?
Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
Okay. What we'll do now, everybody, is it will not be a supporters only because I started through StreamYard, and so it's going to be. It'll be for everybody. Let's see how high we can get the number over on vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Here, locals, come on over because there will be no supporter paywall because we're not through StreamYard right now. Blinken started the 51 intelligence laptop letter.
All right, let's get him. Let's get Blinken then. I'm sorry. Put him on the list. Let's get those 51 sons of bitches also. Let's get them. I'm for a complete scorched earth. I'm a complete
no, I know you are.
And
when you say like
I'm sorry.
There were people on edge on Twitter during this election cycle. Yeah, you were getting riled up, and in a way that it was righteous indignation. But I think if Blinken was behind that letter, right to jail. Justice is not found in a court of snakes. I'm going to see what that Latin means. Pinochet helicopter, nice to see you again. Do you hear the dog scratching at the door?
No.
You hear this?
No.
Oh my gosh. Get in. Come on in. Yeah, of course.
You know what?
Right.
Now that he's gone,
if you want to come for the
that
local
dog was yelping last night. That dog was yelping so loud. I was riddled with guilt for every little piece of sushi or whatever the hell I was eating last night at your house.
Mark, do you want to know if you want a taste of my dog misery? She does that every morning at about 5:30 to 6 o'clock. I get up out of bed. I come down to the kitchen.
What does she want? She wants to be fed?
She wants her puck of food.
Oh, right.
And then I have to throw her a frozen puck of beef, and then I go back to bed for another 45 minutes, and it F's with my. And then the thing is this: when I go on vacation or leave the house, I hear that dog whining wherever I'm at. I'm in a hotel. I'm like, oh my God, I hear the dog whining.
In your head, you hear it?
Yeah. It's like a psychological.
It's like a baby's plaintive wail or something.
No, and then like I feel bad. Like I can't get mad at her because her only pleasure in life is eating. But everybody, get your.
I saw her walking on all four legs when you went into your other room.
There's a dog in India that does it. I saw that.
I mean, that dog's faking, bro. That dog's faking.
Get on over to Locals, people, and we're going to have the rest of the party there. So, and if you're not coming, I'll have to stitch this stream together into two pieces to put it onto audio podcast. It's on Viva and Barnes Law for the people on Podbean. Clips are going to be on Viva Fry. The Viva clips will have the entire stream, even though people said the names are confusing. Deal with it. And for those saying get a producer, it would not have eliminated the problem.
No.
And then producers just add a layer. I like to fact check in real time. One day I'll have a Jamie, and it'll be in a studio. It'll be amazing.
Yeah.
Mark. Oh, and tell everybody where to find you before we leave.
Oh, at Lord Buckley on Twitter, or X, as you call it, and America's Untold Stories, where we do Tuesday and Friday, 5:30 Eastern. Eric Hunley and myself for now 3 years, running Tuesdays and Fridays, covering. We're covering the news and we're covering American history from an alternative point of view. We're doing a Watergate series right now. I'm going to do a piece on John Mitchell in a week or so about the Attorney General under Nixon. We did an entire Kennedy series about every single person involved in the Kennedy series. And now we're doing the same thing with Watergate, individual by individual, to bring the truth of American history to people who, like myself, did not know the truth until very recently. A lot of this is me exploring it on my own too.
Christy Quilter over on Rumble says, yes, Tina Peters needs a pardon from President Trump. She can't get one because it is in fact a state charge, as Neurodivergent observed. Okay, so now I'm not going to mess up now.
What do we do now?
Right now, I've got to unlink one of them, locals, and link. Okay, if at least this way, if I accidentally end the stream on locals, that's the lesser of the problems in terms of like consequences. But that could start it up much more easily on locals. Fingers crossed, people. Come on over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com, and I shall remove from Rumble. Thank you all for being here. I will be live tomorrow. Oh, sorry. I'll be live tomorrow. Arthur Pawlowski is coming back on. He's the pastor from Canada, the Get Out pastor. He's written a book. He's coming on.
Who's the owner of Rumble? What's his name?
Chris Pawlowski. Oh, no,
they're not related, or
not related. One's a Y, and Arthur Pawlowski.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah, hold on. Arthur. Actually, now that you mention it, Pawlowski. Okay, Pawlowski. Arthur spells it with a W, and Chris spells it with a V. But I think that's only they could actually be potentially related because the V and the W is only a question of.
I think they're related. They're just separated at birth.
Chris,
can I go to the bathroom really quickly, or
you do that? And Pawlowski's with 2 V's, and Pawlowski Arthur is with 2 W's. So that's who's coming on tomorrow, and she's driving me crazy. Okay, she's out now. That's who's on tomorrow, 12:30, and then on Tuesday I'm going to be on with somebody. Someone's going to be on with me. It's going to be a great week, and touch wood, if I may touch wood, and we'll all say a prayer. Barnes gets the hell out of the hospital because nobody wants to be in a hospital, period. So that is it, everybody. Thank you all for being here. Sorry for the hiccup and the glitch, and I will see you over on locals now. I'm going to go over to locals. I'm going to go play. I'm going to put up the live. Now I'm watching myself about 3 seconds ago. Let's see when I see myself in real time. Yeah. Is it? Okay, we're live. We're good. We'll do it live, people. I need to put on pause now so I can actually get back to this. Okay. Do you know what it feels like to like just you push the button? Like, why do I see the red screen that says 30-second countdown? Oh, that was a fast one. Well, we still hear you, by the way, Mark. Mark, yeah, okay. We didn't hear anything, but we can hear you when the mic is off. Just so you, not when the mic when you're gone. All right, let me bring up this, and we're going to get to these tipped questions over on locals. Are we seeing the same thing I am here? Spam Ranger, $5. Democrats are hoping on bad publicity from a Jack Smith report. I kind of agree with your guest. Hold on, they're hoping for bad publicity from a Jack Smith report. I kind of agree with your guest, but after seeing the response to my amicus brief, I don't believe the court system has the analytical rigor and critical thinking skills to achieve justice in the cases against Trump. Smith lied in paragraph 4 of the documents indictment to establish the root allegation, but the court never caught it. All right, for the January 6ers to sue, Congress would have to pass a law creating the legal action. This is settled law. You can't sue for false prosecution. Feds have sovereign immunity. No, I mean, they would have to be malicious prosecution, and there'd have to be some evidence. I think that's
Google how the Japanese interned Americans receive their payout.
Okay, I'll do that and actually do whatever the mutatis application would be. No, that's not the right one. Then we got Robin Sage says, aside from securing the border and pardoning Jan 6ers, need to work in Congress to get rid of the DC Circuit Court immediately.
Absolutely.
The funny thing is, we're in a political environment now where a lot of people who would have never considered that in a million years now wholly understand why it's necessary.
Well,
It's like,
now you have rarely this quadfecta that has occurred now, the control of the three branches of government and the Supreme Court. I mean, the House, the Senate, the executive presidency, and the Supreme Court. That's a quadfecta.
yeah.
And that is rare. If you can't get shit done with a quadfecta, you're either incompetent or
The system is just incorrigibly broken, but
Right,
or the
right.
uni party is deeper than.
yeah.
Okay, and then we got some. I tried to move it so that my face would look less ugly, and I've made it worse because now I got two ugly Viva faces in there. To Mark's comment about being exhausted after the election, every organ in the body can get tired, even the brain. We lived on endless dopamine hits for 8 years. It's time for a short break and much needed. Rusty Gus, I want to. I can't stop anyhow. I'm going to obsess over something, so I might as well just do it on something that's. But my problem is like, you wake up, you want to do a video, you need to follow what's going on in the news, you want to put a clip out, you want to get some tweets out, and it's an endless exhaustion. Jeanette Victoria, LOL, small world. I had a friend in common with Timothy Leary. He gave me my first LSD. Denise Santu says, don't forget, call your senators and say no to John Toon and John Cornyn. They are rhinos. Rick Scott is the only choice of those who are running. I wish Ron Paul would run. And let me see what this says here. Donald Trump should withdraw and Mike Pence should be our nominee effective immediately.
That's
okay. Sammy says, regarding my previous comment, maybe that was a joke. I didn't get to the reviews comment. Repeat after me. I think I got to the rest here. Could Barnes have been poisoned? No. DGT truth. The Democrats are being squeezed by vendors. Okay, I got to that. Yeah, the raccoon and the Fred and Peanut. I still want to get the guy on. I want to get Mark Longo on. Saul Alinsky rules for radicals, says Schnookums. Alinsky is number 5 is from Alex Christoforo. So that's from the Duran. Read the final verse of the Aeneid. Aeneid kills Turnus and shows no mercy. No mercy for your enemy. That is why Rome was Rome. Well, then I don't know how Rome fell, but that might also be why Rome argued, whatever. Make America again. That's not bad. Marcus 1776 Cripe. Viva Lord Buckley. Do you guys think the DOJ will move to close the Diddy Saga before Trump takes over? And if so, how do you think they do it? No
the
way.
Diddy Saga is really interesting because I believe that many Hollywood donors to Kamala Harris
were extorted.
Indicated to her that in lieu of for the donation that she needed to do something on Diddy. I think she was the one that dropped the dime on Diddy. Nobody else in this storyline has the federal power to drop the dime on Diddy, so to speak, except her. And I believe
explain what you mean by that. You think Kamala Harris, they had Diddy arrested because Hollywood was saying enough is enough with this guy?
No, right, sort of. You almost got it. The people, certain celebrities donating money to her were featured in a lot of Diddy videos. Whether he was using them for blackmail, I don't think so. They just felt very vulnerable and asked her to deal with it because of the donation they were making in the millions of dollars. And I think she must have gotten this request from X amount of Democratic celebrity donors to where she picked up a phone, and that was the end of Diddy, because nobody in this storyline, this is a federal beef for literally taking girls across state lines like it's Chuck Berry in 1958. I mean, the charges against him from the federal level don't make any sense. And I think the only person at the federal level who could have done this or had the motivation to do this was Kamala Harris.
Okay, my thought on it.
This is just my theory.
Yeah, no, total hypothesizing.
It's just hypothesis.
Barnes and I talked about it, and it was trying to think of which case it was where he said the arrest was the cover-up, and I think it was Diddy. I'm getting mixed up between Diddy and Eric Adams because there was one where I applied the same reasoning, where the arrest of Eric Adams might have been a cover-up of I'm trying to think what.
Well, Barnes thinks that Eric Adams is going to walk, and I agree with Barnes because there is no jury in New York that is going to convict a black mayor.
But what he's accused of is relatively innocuous,
right?
Even
No,
if
I
it
agree.
was actual bona fide.
I agree.
But the idea that the Diddy arrest was a way of confiscating and concealing the evidence, not exposing it. So those
absolutely
we don't know those. And so
I think that came from Hollywood celebs who are featured. Keep in mind, these parties were going on in Hollywood. Forget about New York. They were going on in Hollywood for over 10 years, Viva. There is nobody I know who has not gone to a Diddy party in Hollywood. There are many celebrities, I believe, who felt vulnerable that they were on videos controlled by Diddy or Diddy-related people. Whether they were threatening them, blackmailing, I don't think so. He doesn't need the money. But I think they mentioned it enough times to Kamala Harris where she picked up the phone.
So Diddy's arrested on September 16, 2024.
Yeah.
When did Biden withdraw? He withdrew in July.
Yeah.
So he withdraws.
It's not Biden's call. It's her call.
Yeah, no. And I'm thinking Biden withdraws. Kamala needs to win. She needs a whole hell of a lot of support. She needs to bring in the cavalry.
Yes.
And so she says, we know that Diddy's got blackmail material. Arrest him, get it, and blackmail them into support.
Let's say Jay-Z's on one of those videos. Can Jay-Z himself, who's a big to-do, pick up the phone and call the FBI? No. But he could call Kamala Harris and say, I think I'm on 12 of those videos over the span of 7 years, and I really appreciate it for this $7 million freaking donation I just gave you, that you do something about it, ma'am. And I think there were a bunch of Jay-Z's out there who said the same thing to her.
Oh, that's very interesting. So it's either promising a favor or extorting a favor. It's sort of the flip side of seeing the same thing. Yeah. Okay, very interesting. I don't think I disagree with that either. That's
okay. It's just logical to me, based on the charges that are against him, that they're federal, not state.
Yep, and they seem to be potentially getting much more serious if there's minor stuff that's going to be thrown in there. Dashman says, "Ask if all of Hollywood and the music industry is going down. I'm sick of hip hop. Is it
okay,
going down?"
Well, the music industry, it doesn't exist anymore. So that's a late question. It's the movie industry that's about to collapse. The record industry has been gone for a while. There's no albums, there's no CDs. That's long gone. The building, Capitol Records, the building the Beatles were in, there's nobody in it. So that industry's gone. The movie industry is about to end its existence on the earth over the next year or 2 or 3 years.
Rubbish. It's all been rubbish for the last decade anyhow. Ali Michael says, what about George Clooney saying he's a scapegoat for the Democrats now? What are they blaming Clooney for?
It's Clooney's wife who's a deep state honeypot operative. It's Amal Clooney. She's the one that wrote the op-ed. She's the one that controls this closeted gay man. She is the one who is a Middle East aficionado.
I'm sorry, hold on. George Clooney's closet homosexual? There's nothing wrong with that.
Everybody knows it. No, everyone knows that in Hollywood. I mean, it's an open secret in Hollywood. It's not a secret in Hollywood. I'll just put it that way.
Okay. I mean, that now
add that. I mean,
no, add it to the Eddie Murphy one, add it to the Brad Pitt one, and now that's it. I'm shattered.
Well, the Eddie Murphy one is trans, so that's a different thing.
No, but it's just like learning these things that fundamentally reshape the way you even view it.
It usually comes from the help. See, the problem with their secrets are that they hire regular blue collar people to either be waiters at their parties or to cater their affairs or to mow their lawn or to do their laundry. That's where the information gets leaked out. I mean, they get them to sign these non-disclosure agreements, but they don't really hold up over time.
Assange should be Trump's press secretary, says Buffalo Betsy. The problem is I haven't heard Assange speak since he got out of jail. Has he suffered cognitive damage?
I don't know about cognitive, but I think he's about done with the public stage, you know.
No, I think it's more of a joke because I don't think he's allowed doing anything publicly as it pertains to his release. But no, I think he's physically and broken.
Yeah.
And then there was, is it possible Susie Wiles left Big Pharma because she didn't like them and she's valuable because she knows where the skeletons are in big?
It Except
Well,
it goes back
tobacco.
18 months. It goes back 2 years. I mean, it's fairly recent. She didn't leave 20 years ago. And then she worked for DeSantis, and something happened with DeSantis where there were leaks out of his campaign. I'm not really sure. I haven't had time to really look into a relationship. Not that I begrudge her working for DeSantis. That's not really the point. But you'd have to really get into her Wikipedia page has been kind of scrubbed.
Mm-hmm. Pardon Assange, says Bell Wigley. I mean, Assange and Snowden, I think, would be the next two.
Well, I don't know if Assange is an American citizen, but Snowden certainly is.
But he's hold on, that's true actually. But he's not an American citizen who was facing charges. I'm going to I'm going to Google that.
Yeah.
I've heard Assange is a broken man, says Red Team 33. Let me see if I get down here. Rest in peace, the anniversary of the 29 men that went down today in 1975 at the Edmund Fitzgerald Gordon Lightfoot Real Musician. Rest in peace, the anniversary of the 29 men that went down today in 1975 on the Edmund Fitzgerald and Gordon Lightfoot. Spam Ranger says, is Mark looking to history regarding the involvement of Harris, Pelosi, and Newsom in residential development over former Navy nuclear facilities in San Francisco that poisoned black children with nuclear contamination? When children get radiation burns while playing in the yard, it's very bad. Have you heard that story, Mark?
Vaguely. I'm not really
It's another one. It's another one.
I'm not really conscious of it.
Yeah, not that it didn't pick up traction as though it's not interesting. It's just like
Right.
it was not the on the forefront of relevance in the
And
election.
how would Newsom be involved as mayor of San Francisco or something? I don't understand. How old is this story?
Oh no, it's old. It's
right. I'm saying. So what is his culpability?
Well, he's been. Yeah, I have to see the year on that.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm asking you. Yeah.
Viva, they did the raid on Diddy's homes in March 2024 when he was arrested in September. Are you sure it was Kamala who asked for the raid then?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think, first of all, just to back up, and I've said this publicly before, the plan to remove Biden was over 2 years old. This did not happen the week before. Despite what people may think, the plan to remove him was triggered quicker because of the debates. But keep in mind, the debates were pushed forward to trigger the removal of Biden. I had discussed the removal of Biden for the entire year, and the year before that. So this was not something that came out of left field all of a sudden. This plan was in place for a couple of years.
I mean, it's a fair point. It's quite obvious he was no more in
the
control.
reverse point would be it just happened that week and he picked her. That's the reverse argument. That's insane.
Yeah, well, the idea it was.
They know that he's infirm. They know that he's cognitively disabled. They cover it up for a couple of years. And then we're supposed to believe that all of a sudden, with a couple of days, they pull him out and put her in out of left field.
No, that would make no sense. Also, when was it the Her report when everyone was demanding for the release of it? That was well before the raid on Diddy's place, wasn't it? Check the dates.
It was dates on that.
It was clear. He was. Everybody knew that he was not there even in March. So whether or not he's the one orchestrating this, but I do think it's interesting to see it as to whether or not they're saying, look, we'll buy you the favor, get rid of those tapes for us versus.
Look, I thought, and I said this for over a year and a half, that it would be that this plan was in place. I was discussing it openly myself. And I thought that Newsom was going to be the guy at the Democratic convention. And if it wasn't for The View and black women going absolutely berserk, screaming that they would leave the Democratic Party if they passed over her, I believe the original plan was Gavin Newsom.
Let me bring up here. There's a good question in here. Bring it up and add to screen, add to stage. Viva, they did the raid. Okay, we got that. Can you please update with Robert also with respect to the idea that personal is policy? What sway do you think JFK and Tulsi will actually have on administration staffing?
Yet to be seen.
But yeah, what position would they? I presume that means what position would they hold? RFK would be great for any one of two headers. It's either investigating the assassinations, and JFK might be too limited in scope. Put him in charge of health, whatever that department is. Replace Rachel Levine with RFK.
The problem is, I don't think he wants a job. I don't think he wants to move to DC. I don't think he wants to leave Malibu. I don't think he wants to abandon his wife.
No,
I think he wants to be an advisor to the president from afar, like a kitchen cabinet advisor.
I would disagree with that because of the sacrifice that he's made over the last 2 years in even running. The only question is whether or not he is sufficiently fatigued now, where he's got to make amends with whatever.
Yeah.
No, I think he wants a position.
Then you're saying he's going to move to DC.
Yeah, for 4 years, it would be the end of the world. He'll fly back and forth.
I don't see it.
And the other one was up here. Where does Marcy Tulsi fitting into the Trump's cabinet, if at all? Enjoyed the Tuesday event. Hold on, before you say, because I want to know if I'm going to be smart or not.
Yeah.
She obviously has to have a position, something in military. I don't know what the exact titles would be that she'd have to she would fill.
Yeah, now she is going to get a real job. This is a woman who wants a real job, deserves a real job,
and potential future.
Right, and she's an operative. She's a political player, and she will accept either something in the State Department or the Defense Department, something. I'm not sure what it is, but she is going to get a real job.
Okay, Vivek.
I don't know. Another mystery. I have no idea. Economic advisor. Again, these could be, like Peter Navarro was an advisor on trade. He was a trade advisor. So there are these positions that don't need confirmation because some of these people might have a hard time getting confirmed.
Yeah.
So you can be a non-confirmed cabinet member that doesn't need confirmation. I don't know if Navarro was ever confirmed. He was an advisor on trade, but not everyone has to go through a confirmation process.
We got, if I can bring this back up here. Can you please update with respect to Robert? I said, I mentioned at the beginning of the first stream that he's still in the ER. Well, he's still in the ER hospital. Almost was potentially being floated to get out today, hopefully tomorrow, doing better. And that's about the size of it. He's I'm in contact with the family, but I'm not asking for more details that I believe I'm entitled to. I was relieved only momentarily once Trump won the election. Now I'm terrified of what they will try to do to him before he takes office in Jan. Love this for us.
I agree. I mean, this is far from over. I mean, this is just the beginning. Now that he has won this thing, hands down. I mean, I believe that they went after congressional and senatorial races, realizing that Trump would not come after them if they just walked away from the presidential race and focused on the House and the Senate, which is what I think they decided to do.
Yeah. Nyrenalmd says the Japanese got their settlements after Congress passed a law for reparations to the Japanese. Congress must pass a law sovereign immunity. Then we got Not a QAnon says you can sue the government for conspiracy of rights. Yeah, deprivation of rights under color of law. 18.
There are windows, Viva, to do this.
Oh yeah, no. The good thing is, though, you have a government that's going to want this to happen.
Yes, of course. That's what I'm saying. Get it done now.
Tulsi for Veterans Affairs says NetJust. That would be beautiful. Whether or not she wants something, I don't know if that would more in quotes.
Well, these things are always debated among these offers and what they accept and what they want. This happens all the time in a new administration.
Stingray says Vivek for Senator of Iowa. I'm not sure if that happened. Unca Ted Nugent for Department of Interior Secretary.
Well, let me just back up for a second because you've got this Rhino DeWine out of Ohio with an empty seat that he's got to fill for Senator of Ohio for the vacated seat of J.D. Vance. You got Moreno in there. Who is DeWine going to pick? People have floated Vivek as a resident of Ohio to be that senator. So it's not that insane.
There's a man who I'm not sure could imagine. I know he ran for president, but like going to, we said senator of Ohio, right?
Yes,
senator of Iowa.
No, Ohio. I'm saying, I don't know what the Iowa thing is, but I'm saying Ohio.
Okay, Ohio. I get mixed up between Ohio and Iowa, but it said the question said Iowa, so maybe it meant Ohio. That would be cool.
Somebody's going to get picked by DeWine. You got to fill the seat. Now it's you have to run for re-election, but whatever was left on Vance's seat could be filled by Vivek. Now it's going to be a type of situation like what's his name out of Illinois, Blagojevich, where DeWine is going to put that seat up for sale. When I say put it up for sale, I don't mean a suitcase of money. I mean that this is a political situation, just like Blagojevich was. Again, the same thing happened with him. He went to prison because of the Obama people who persecuted him. But DeWine is in a similar position to the governor of Illinois' situation back then with the Senate seat vacated by Obama. So somebody's got to fill it, and DeWine's got that job. So it is possible to get Vivek, but he's going to sell it.
There's a funny joke where it says in the locals community, I just want to double check something before I say it. A special thanks to aliens from another planet for the abduction of 14 million Democratic voters sometime between 2020 and 2024. The number is down to 10. It's down to 10 million though, but I want to see how much is left to count in California because that might still go down a little bit. And Trump got 74,784,000 as of now. What was 2020 election results? It was 75 million.
You got a million less this time?
Give or take. Well, no, because they're not yet done counting, but it's commenced. My point is it's close enough. That
right.
Like it's 75.
It's about it's close enough, right?
Yeah, hold on.
But somehow Biden got an additional 11 million.
Trump got more this time than in.
I thought so.
Than in 2020. So
right.
The number makes sense now. It's like that's what I was just waiting for. Make sure that the Republicans get more now than 2020, so that anybody who says, "Well, then Republicans also got 12 extra million votes." No.
But he still. How many millions more did Biden get? 12 million more.
It's Biden got.
Where did they go? Where did they come from?
10 million more.
10 million. Rounding it off. Let's say 10 million.
Let's just say that,
10.
Yeah, let's say 10 million.
Yeah.
Tulsi and RFK got 3 million. Let's say 3 to on the highest end 5 million to Trump. That's still 5 million votes that are absolutely unaccounted for. Unless they say so many people were pissed off they didn't vote now from 2020. Okay.
Hard to believe.
Sorry, it's very much hard to believe considering that it's implausible. Let me make sure. I think we've gotten everything. RFK Jr. ran for president. Where was that one? RFK Jr. ran for president. Is that on the bottom? I just lost it. RFK Jr. ran for president. Did he expect to build an Oval Office in Trancas Beach? Says Grammykins.
That's funny.
Why are more people?
He would have had a Western White House like Nixon did in San Clemente.
And like Trump did in Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
Spuds $1 says Cruz takes a SCOTUS associate justice spot for retirement. Paxton takes the Senate seat. SCOTUS is Cruz's dream team job. Spam Ranger says, why aren't more people defending Trump on his civil rights history? Trump has been an active civil rights since 1966, donated $760,000 to the Jewish and $750 to the Black and inner city charities. He got the Ellis Island Award back in the late 80s. Everybody knows it, but nobody cares about it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we did good. Breaking on X. Benny Johnson says the internal whip count was leaked. Cornyn 18, Scott 11, Toon 24. How can Trump's people work the Senate? What does that mean? Let me bring this up so that you can see this.
This is the internal vote to see who's going to be the
new
Senate
speaker,
majority leader.
Speaker.
Speaker. The Speaker of the House is Johnson. This is Senate majority leader.
Okay. And so what does it mean? Cornyn 18, Scott 11, Toon 24.
These are, if you follow this is the vote, like a rough vote of where it is right now in terms of the Republican side.
Okay.
So you add all those numbers together, they still don't add up to the amount of senators, though. So that's a little weird.
Groubert, do I ask when you leave? When you're leaving Florida?
Not soon enough, my friend. A few more days, I'll be back in LA, and I will survey the land and the damage to the Democratic Party. I believe, and I've seen the map. They have taken on incredible losses in the Democratic congressional races, and the Trump thing, and various other county officials. I think if you look at that map comparison that people are putting up between 2020 and 2024, the amount of red has spread in California, and people have asked why I'm still there. This is why I'm still there, because it's a fight. It's a fight, and like any other fight. I mean, Florida used to be blue, and now it's red. I mean, Texas used to be completely a Democratic state, and now look at it. I mean, these things change, and every time, if everybody had to move every time this happened, it would be a sad state of affairs. Now, given that, it could take a long time.
Yeah, or you could end up in jail like Dexter Taylor if you do something.
Right. Yeah.
Blake Montana says, I like your guest. Mark has been awesome this week, says Beth W. Tulsi for military advisor to Trump, Greg Rogers. That I would.
It could be, yeah, it could be those types of jobs where the non-confirmation jobs, and they're part of what's traditionally called the kitchen cabinet.
Mark and I and some friends of mine are still not giving up. Many people need to grow a brain, though, says C. Toon. Heard many people in California say they're staying, riding it out. Maria.
Yeah. It's not just riding it out. Let me just be emphatic here. The Karen Bass, the mayor of LA, has selected a guy to be sheriff that I campaigned for, who is a Republican conservative, and he is now the head of LAPD, the chief of police, picked by Karen Bass yesterday. And you could Google that guy. And the district attorney of Los Angeles County, the largest county in America, is now a Republican named Nathan Hochman, who defeated a communist from Cuba named George Gascon. So these are real victories by real people in law enforcement in a city that is so blue and so far left that it's astounding that they've won. And that's why Newsom is in a full panic right now, trying to see where he could go politically. But the winds of change are in the air in California as well.
Yeah, Bongino always jokes, like, has it gotten bad enough? And it seems like this election cycle was the election cycle. It got bad enough. Who is I'm just looking at Sobek's tweet right now because it came up. Who should Trump pick as Secretary of State? Grinnell, who I don't know, Pompeo, who I think we've already discussed, Haley, who I think it might be a joke, or Marco Rubio. Who's Grinnell?
Rick Grinnell is the former ambassador to Germany who was acting national security advisor to Donald Trump, and he would be a damn good selection for Secretary of State. He's a veteran ambassador type. He happens to be gay, happens to be from California, happens to be extremely Christian, a biblical scholar, went to Harvard Divinity School, if I recall. Rick Grinnell would be an amazing choice for Secretary of State, in my humble opinion.
Seems relatively decisive from Poso's tweet.
Is he saying the same thing? Or?
Yeah, well, no, the results from his community say 76%. I just voted for it based on what you just said there. 73%.
Oh, weird. Okay,
it was obviously from his phrasing. It was obviously between Rubio and Grinnell.
Grinnell would be a great choice. He knows the language of the State Department, and he's done it before.
Alter Boy says, Viva, I was unaware that Groubert convinced Oliver Stone to join Team Trump. There was an amazing 10-minute. I'm going to watch it, the rest of it. But if you haven't seen it, can I do it like this? Remove, stop screen. There's a 10-minute documentary of Trump behind the scenes, and I saw clips of it. It's just the guy's he's a different constitution of a human. He's almost not.
About Trump or Oliver Stone? I didn't.
No, it's Trump. Here, check this out. If I go like
this guy, I didn't convince Oliver Stone to back Trump, although I think he's a closeted Trumper.
Thank you. Thank you.
Shows how Trump
got plenty. There must be 35.
Traveling from India to California.
It's just I saw a couple minutes of it. It's just an amazing behind the scenes documentary that you realize Trump is tweeting his own tweets, and he's a one-man wrecking ball. He's just superhuman. Groubert, let's do it. We're gonna end it. We'll say our proper. We'll talk for a couple minutes afterwards. Locals, thank you all.
Okay.
I will give everybody. Look, I'm trying to respect. I'm not trying to. I am respecting Barnes's privacy here, but I am also nagging the family because I know everybody's concerned. So I'm just gonna check my text messages now. Let's see. I got a bunch of them.
I just want to say. I'm praying for Barnes, and I'm not Robert Barnes. And I know there's 10,000 people who said, as soon as I came on, not that clown again.
Yeah, I got a number of messages saying I killed the stream. I know people. I go, so I don't have any more updates from the family, but bottom line, he was doing a little bit better, and he'll be out tomorrow. So
right on.
Groubert, we'll say our proper guys. Everyone out there, go and enjoy the night, and I shall see you tomorrow, 12:30, Arthur Pavlovsky, and then a show during the day. And Tuesday,
I'll be on with Hunley on Tuesday, doing post-election coverage with Eric on America's Untold Stories.
Everybody now watching knows who you guys are. America's Untold Stories. Yeah. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any final tips that came in. Did you see my tip question? Says Boopsy. Hold on. Cruz takes out SCOTUS associate. Okay, no, Boopsy. Hold on. Let me see here. I'm going to scroll up. Boopsy's avatar is okay. Boopsy says, "Are you worried about Trump's meeting with Biden at the White House? I don't trust them. They could poison him or something." Oh, they're not going to go that far, Boopsy. I don't think so. But
He's not
He
going to eat
doesn't.
anything.
He doesn't
anyway.
have to eat.
He's going to bring his own Happy Meal.
He's
going to break out a Happy Meal.
Bring out his own packaged food. It's a very
Yeah.
no, I'm
little crackers. He's going to take out a little napkin.
No,
He's
but maybe
like
they
the
like
Howard
Pokemon-
Hughes of politics.
No, but like if the umbrella, the poison tip on the umbrella thing. No, I'm less worried about that, Boopsy. So be cautious, but not cripplingly. Although he went to meet with Kim Jong-un, the irony is that it's almost more dangerous meeting with Biden than Kim Jong-un. Okay, everybody go and enjoy the night. Thank you for being here, Mark. 2 seconds. Peace out, peeps. And now ending the stream.